If you're alone and you need a friend, someone to make you forget your problem, just come along, baby, take my hand. I'll be your lover tonight. This is what I wanna do. Let's have some fun. One-on-one, just me and you. Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Let's spend the night together, from now until forever. Boom, 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 boom. I wanna go boom, boom. Let's spend the night together, together in my room. Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Let's spend the night together, from now until forever. Boom, 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 boom. I wanna go boom, boom. Let's spend the night together, together in my room. This is what I wanna do. Let's have some fun. One-on-one, just me and you. Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Let's spend the night together, from now until forever. Boom, 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 boom. I wanna go boom, boom. Let's spend the night together, together in my room. This is what I wanna do. Whoa. Let's have some fun. Whoa. One-on-one, just me and you. Whoa. Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Let's spend the night together, from now until forever. Boom, 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 boom. I wanna go boom, boom. Let's spend the night together, together in my room.
One night in Bangkok, the devil walking next to me.
One night in Bangkok and the world's your oyster. The bars and temples where the girls ain't free. You'll find a god in every golden oyster. And if you're lucky and the gods are she. One night in Bangkok and the world's your oyster. The bars and temples where the girls ain't free. You'll find a god in every golden oyster. And if you're lucky and the gods are she. I can feel the devil walking next to me. One night. I can feel the devil walking next to me.
One night in Bangkok, the devil walking next to me.
I can feel the devil walking next to me.
One night in Bangkok, the devil walking next to me.
One night in Bangkok and the world's your oyster. The bars and temples where the girls ain't free. You'll find a god in every golden oyster. And if you're lucky and the gods are she. One night in Bangkok.
See if you think I'm cutting this song up. Good morning, hello, good afternoon, good evening, Breakdown Cub, hello, Water Under the Fridge, hello, Bunny and Shannon, hello, Nikki Towel Girlfriend, how are you all doing? God bless you, Breakdown Cub. You are a super towel. I'm getting ready to come see the beautiful environs of Canada. God bless the rolling hills of Canada. The environs of Canada, they do bring me such soothing vibes to my soul. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. Maybe you just don't follow the rules of time. Maybe you're outside space and time today. Needless to say, it's 9:30 a.m. on the dot. Eastern U.S., I don't know, fires, bombings, and otherwise time. It begins. We all feel the pensive apprehension, the weight of the atmosphere, the heavy energy. I can feel it. I could feel it on my soul this morning before I got my energy drinks. And then there was a giant fire in Iran, in Isfahan, at a gas facility. It is, let me see, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Saturday. Excuse me, it's 9:30 a.m. Eastern Saturday, April 25th, 2026. It's 3:30 p.m. in South Africa. It's 4:30 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and it's 5 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. As you can see up on your screen, things are burning. Bombs are flying, missiles are flying, things are burning. That's not a good sign. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Welcome to Towel News. I don't know where today's going to go. We have an interview I want to watch with Dr. Morandi. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I want to analyze it. It's a great interview. It's on this great channel called Peace and Dialogue, and I really recommend you check it out. But I was listening to the interview this morning, as I was kind of like preparing. And I was thinking, bombs are going to fall today. So I should really listen to this interview. And, if bombs fall, I'll start the stream. Well, Hezbollah decided to give us all, I guess you could call it a missile of peace. Is that what Silent Dogs likes to call them? Hezbollah gave us all some missiles of peace, which crashed down and actually hit targets in northern Israel. Hello, it is nice to see you shine. It is good to see you. So the day started. This is where the day started, okay? So I don't know. It was like an hour and a half ago. I was talking to Triple Bob. We were just kind of waking up. I was talking about like my trip, to Fenway Park last night. We don't have time to talk about that. And then all of a sudden in Isfahan, this fire just breaks out, and it doesn't look like a regular fire. Maybe it's a regular fire, but like when that kind of thing happens in Iran, I'm already on alert. Did I go live? No, because it wasn't necessarily like a bombing confirmed. It was just a big fire, but it had me on alert. Like my alert levels was like 6 out of 10 when I saw this. So I kind of went on towel alert, I went on hashtag towel alert. And then things kind of escalated. So here's video on the ground from Tasnim, the Iranian semi-official state news agency. Here's the actual, what it looked like from I don't know which part of Isfahan was hit. It looks like it's facing maybe like northwest, but it's a little hard to tell. So that's how the day started, okay, up in Isfahan. All right, here's the locate. Let me show you the location on the map where in Isfahan this happened. So it's right here. All right, it's along Highway 32. All right, it's right here at the blue dot. All right, so there's something over here. This area is very important. This specific glue factory, quote unquote, that got hit, it was in the Iranian news previously because it enslaved its workers. Basically, that was the allegation. Well, this is right before this happened. The Iranian foreign minister, Araghchi, he is up in Islamabad. He's on a 3-state tour. He's going to Muscat, Oman, then he's going to Moscow, Russia. He did not meet with the United States. He does not intend to meet with the United States. There will be no trilateral, what it's called, talks between the U.S., the Pakistanis, and Iran. There were what's called bilateral talks between Iran and Pakistan, and then the Iranian foreign minister left. Hello, Illy. How are you doing? We have a lot of things that are pointing to bad sides right now. So I showed you that glue factory, quote, on fire. in Isfahan. All right. Now the country of Mali, M-A-L-I, is falling. The government of Mali is currently falling to a group of armed rebels who launched a coordinated
To
attack
inflict
across
even
the
harsher
country.
losses on them in the event of it.
Here is the latest.
Conversation.
Sorry.
Urgent.
Here is the latest from the IRGC.
Conversation. Urgent.
2 hours ago.
Warning from the Central Command Headquarters, Seal of the Prophets, of the United States.
High standing stones.
If the aggressor American army continues the siege and acts of piracy and maritime robbery in the region, let it be assured that it will face a strong response from the Iranian armed forces. The United States must realize that the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran today possess greater capability and readiness than before to defend sovereignty, territory, and national interests. And its army has tested a portion of this strength and offensive capabilities during the imposed Third War. We are prepared and determined, with continued monitoring of the enemy's movements and behavior in the region and the continuation of managing and controlling the strategic Strait of Hormuz, to inflict even harsher losses on them in the event of any aggression repeated by the American and Zionist enemies.
Okay, so it's really hard for me to show you what happened in Mali. I can show you some footage. So the government of Mali withdrew from the town of Kidal. Mali is a big country in the north center of Africa. Let me show you it on the map behind me. So Mali's like right here. Where is it? Where's Mali? There it is. Mali's bordered by Mauritania on the west, Algeria to the north, Niger to the east, Burkina Faso to the south, Cote d'Ivoire to the south, and Guinea to the southeast, and then Senegal and the Gambia to the east. Okay, that's Mali. Mali's government is falling. It's claiming it's not falling, so to be fair to the government of Mali, they are alleging they still have control. However, and like I have to use my discretion here as a journalist. Pope Leo gave a speech to journalists to try to explain to us how to cover war in a way that tells the human story. So those are kind of my guiding principles. But the footage from Mali is really bad. There are just government soldiers dead all over the ground. I saw footage, which I'm not going to show you, of these militants. They are with the FLA and the JINM, absolutely just brutalizing the government of Mali, the armed forces. They didn't stand a chance. I saw them killing soldiers and then just taking the soldiers' weapons and just moving down the line. They didn't care. It was really bad. I'm not going to show you that for a number of reasons. I don't show bodies unless I feel that there is a compelling public interest and the footage has been shown on other news channels and it's censored. Maybe, but not this. There's no blood. But what I saw in some of those other videos coming out of Mali, it was a massacre. The government forces did not stand a chance. You're looking now at the retreat of the government forces of Mali from the town of Kibale. The government, they got completely overwhelmed. I don't know where this... So the government of Mali is Russian-backed, and they fell in like an hour. By tomorrow, it was a coup. The government's denying it's a coup, but it was a coup. I don't know who backed the coup. I don't know how they were so well organized. They took the country in an hour. Hello, how are you, Mr. Jeffs? Good to have you. We got a few things going on. I'm right now updating you on the fall of the country of Mali. This is in Central Africa, that's correct. Central Northern Africa, actually. Northern Central Africa, you would call it. So you are looking at footage of the government troops withdrawing from the town of Kibale, Kibal, in Mali. So I can't show you, and I will not show you, all of the footage on the ground. It was brutal. The battles, this was not like an isolated uprising. This was an absolute battle. There were multiple dead soldiers from the government of Mali, none of whom stood a chance. I can show you this. Let me just screen the foot. Yeah, this footage is okay. Outside of the house of Mali's defense minister, General Sadio Kamara, in Kati, Kati, the Al Qaeda in Mali group, JNIM, launched a major network nationwide attack, which included a car bomb attack outside the home of the Mali defense minister, which you're looking at now, the results of that car bomb attack. Silent Dogs, I'm trying to figure out what is a real country. I think Silent Dogs just lives prior to the Westphalian Peace of 648. Silent Dogs doesn't recognize any countries. No countries are real to Silent Dogs. I haven't found one country Silent Dogs thinks is real. We go to all these different continents and cover all these different conflicts. Silent Dogs is consistent. No countries are real. So you got to give him that. You know, if anything, he is consistent. His position has never changed. No countries are real. It's not like he favors one country over another. Nope, Silent Dogs just doesn't think any countries are real. You know, you gotta give him respect.
الجديد ما تشاهدونه الآن على الصورة.
This is the latest from Isfahan.
أصفهان وسط إيران، دخان أسود يتصاعد إذن في السماء بعد حريق في مصنع في أصفهان. لا أعلم، هذه الصور تذكرنا بسابق الأيام في حرب ال40 يوما. في انتظار اتضاح المزيد من التفاصيل حول حقيقة هذا الحريق والسبب هذا الحريق في المصنع هذا في أصفهان في وسط إيران. حتى الآن هذه الصور الأولية والمعلومات الأولية التي ينقلها إعلام إيراني عن وقوع حريق في مصنع في أصفهان وسط إيران، وكما نشاهد معكم دخان أسود كثيف يتصاعد في السماء من موقع الحريق الذي يقول الإعلام الإيراني بأنه مصنع في أصفهان واندلع فيه حريق في انتظار.
I understand, Silent Dogs. Thank you for the clarification.
الحقيقية وراء ذلك. ونوه إلى هذا التطور الجديد.
You have a categorical imperative approach to countries. I got it. I don't think we should put Silent Dogs in charge of what a state is defined as, but Silent Dogs has got a categorical imperative for what it counts to be a real country, and I'm not going to tell him he can't have that opinion. Now, taking you to the Pope.
Being a Christian in politics does not mean being
just minutes ago with the Vatican.
Overly confessional. Instead, it means allowing the gospel to guide the decisions that have to be made, even those that may not attract easy consensus. It means working to preserve the connection between natural law and positive law, and between Christian roots and political action. To be a Christian engaged in politics requires a realistic perspective that starts with people's concrete concerns. This perspective should seek, above all, to foster dignified working conditions that will encourage people's ingenuity and creativity in the face of a market that is increasingly dehumanizing and unfulfilling. Such an outlook must enable people to overcome the fear of starting a family, of having children, a fear that seems to be particularly prevalent in Europe.
All right, so that was the Pope just minutes ago at the Vatican. Now let me take you to the latest scenes. Earlier during the war in March, there was an Israeli attack on the Bushehr nuclear power plant. Some of the footage is now starting to air. I saw this earlier. This was earlier in the war in March. This was an Israeli attack on the Bushehr power plant in Iran. Please be aware it is loud. Again, an Israeli strike earlier in the war on the Bushehr nuclear power plant. This footage was only released earlier this morning. It's only a 10-second clip. Very rare to see this kind of security footage from inside Iran, though, even with a delay. And you could actually see the missile hit. So I'll pause it for you. I'll play it for you in slow-mo. You can actually see the missile hit. So if you watch the frame by frame, you're going to see the missile come out of nowhere. It's going to appear, give it 1 second. It's going to appear before the explosion. Oh, all right, right there. So if you see it, wait. You really got to go frame by frame. Hold. Come on now. Oh, it's a little bit further. A little bit further. I'm doing this manually, frame by frame. No, did you see it? Alright, watch. That's the missile. Do you see that? That is the actual missile. Do you see it? It's right above the target, and that's still. It's really hard to get that still. You have to do it. First of all, you have to see it. And then because not every camera can capture the same speed as the missile. If the missile's going faster than the camera can capture per frame, you're not going to see the missile. You're going to see nothing and then an explosion. That camera has a pretty good shutter speed. Not great, but pretty good. And so it captured the actual missile. That's the missile. It's very, very, very quick. It's only in one frame and you have to play it at 0.25. But that's the missile itself. It's, first of all, that footage is incredibly rare. To even see security camera footage directly pointed at a sensitive site like a nuclear facility, and then for Iranian state TV to publish it, and then for it to be such high resolution that it has a shutter speed that can capture the missile. It's quick. It's not like a perfect capture of the missile, but the fact that it can even capture that is very impressive. And then you'll watch what happens when it hits. It's almost immediate. And the whole thing's gone. It's a very specific type of missile. I don't know what type it is. I'm not a ballistics missile expert, but it's gone in a second. That's why when we see precision strikes that only take out like one apartment in a block of apartments and leave the building standing, they're choosing which munition to use. This is not a precision missile. That is destroy everything in its path missile. This is Isfahan. Save the goats. Hello, Seth. It's so good to see you. So it is unclear what caused this. But there was an attack by Hezbollah on Israel immediately after. There was also an attack by Israel in the south of Lebanon. So the Isfahan situation may not be related to Hezbollah's retaliatory attack in the last 30 minutes on northern Israel. You can kind of tell I'm a little bit on edge. I'm not exactly sure where this is all going to go. Let me show you some of the Hezbollah rocket fire that just came in over northern Israel. Here's some footage just now that came in right now from northern Israel. You can see that on your right. The rocket actually hit. And then here's footage of the Hezbollah rocket trails in the sky from southern Lebanon towards Israel. Okay. Brent crude is trading at $105 a barrel. I'll now show you the latest footage published by Hezbollah. It's from an attack on April 23rd, published today. Latest from Hezbollah, an attack from 2 days ago. I'll show it again. Latest from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Take you now, coming up on the top of the hour at Al Jazeera, take you now to the footage in the sky that I showed you earlier. This was from the latest Hezbollah attack towards northern Israel just minutes ago. I'm translating for you now. It's going to take me a second. The latest from the Iranian Red Crescent. They gave a press conference just a few minutes ago. I have to translate it from the Farsi, so you're going to have to give me a second. What you're looking at now is the latest rockets fired from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon towards Israel. They did strike multiple Israeli military sites in the north of Israel. There was one confirmed hit at least. Olivia, mostly just like people on the ground in Lebanon. I have a lot of Arabic speaking sources, a lot of people in Iraq, a lot of people in Lebanon, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, UAE, some people on the ground in Iran, of course the occupied territories, the West Bank, Jerusalem, in particular the south of Lebanon. Though there's a lot of like Shia sort of sympathetic people who will intentionally upload the footage as soon as Hezbollah fires the rockets. And so that's where a lot of it comes from. When rockets actually fire, we'll oftentimes get the footage from someone on the ground before the rocket lands. They'll show it in flight over the occupied territories, and all of the launches by Iran are normally timed with prayers in the occupied West Bank. We figured out the pattern last time we were analyzing this. So you can actually listen to the call to prayer as the missile flies over. It's kind of like a final blessing of the missile. Iran is very big on blessing its missiles when they launch them. Hezbollah too, but Iran does this whole show. They time it. It's very specific. The videos go up from the people on the ground. It's called a kill chain. Now you may have heard that Matt McCabe, the brother of what's his name there? Maybe Mike McCabe, whoever Jen McCabe is married to, his brother. They run this firm that helps the 805th Shadow Squadron out of Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. Now, if you know what the 805th Shadow Squadron is, you can look it up. It's what's called, they work on what's called kill chain latency. So the word kill chain in military applications, I'm not an expert in this, but it has two different applications that I'm aware of. The first is, so a kill chain a kill chain initiation is when you push a button and then eventually a command like an SSH tunnel or a fiber optic cable sends over the air through the cable the command to the actual device that drops the bomb. You want to reduce kill chain latency through very high precision, digital latency reduction. Basically, it has to do with signals and stuff. It's complicated. I'm not an expert in it, but it has ping in a video game server. But it's very important the ping be near zero when you're talking about issuing a command to drop a bomb. So that's what Matt and Mike McCabe's company, or whatever their names are, I don't really care. That's what their company does. They do they both have security clearances probably. They do high level governmental DoD contracting to specifically support the 805th Shadow Squadron to reduce kill chain latency. But there's another thing called a kill chain video, which it doesn't involve any killing in the video, but it describes a video that shows a rocket firing. First of all, you prep the rocket. You have to, a rocket can't just fire, or a missile can't fire. You have to program it. It needs a radar. You have to tell it where to go. It has onboard, it has a brain, and it thinks, and it kind of has echolocation, but you can't just fire it. You can't just light it with a lighter. You have to have a computer, and you tell it what to do. Once it's off in the world, it's thinking on its own, but you have to program it. So a kill chain video is you programming it, you deploying the launcher, you firing it, and then there'll be a video like this, like they'll take civilian footage and put those into the propaganda, and then you want to get the hit. There's another video I can show you of the hit, and then that would be what's called a kill chain video. So a kill chain itself is how quickly the bomb fires after you press the button. A kill chain video is when you put together a pack to prove that you launched the missile that caused the hit. So the end of a kill chain video would be the the picture you see on your right, which is the missile from Hezbollah that we just saw the rockets over the air, the missile actually hitting the Israeli army position or the civilian settlement, whatever it may be. And they'll package that together through their media office. It's kind of like Microdots on steroids, but like funded by an army. And they do it quick. Bro, their production time is like, it's snappy. They are very careful about OPSEC, so they censor a lot of the footage, so you can't tell where they launch from. And they also are careful to delay the footage. They may record it and have it ready to go immediately, but they'll delay it a few days. But they always they'll do a press release when they do an attack in Arabic. They'll do the press release in just words. Then they'll prepare the video and put it out. They have like songs they use, the Hezbollah song. They have like a way of encoding what they're doing, like the severity or the intensity of what they're doing by like timing it to songs. If they use the regular Hezbollah song, it's a traditional release. If they use some like really serious song and it's like cut to like the downbeat, like the shifts in the video, it's crazy. They're like, they really put emphasis on the intensity of their attacks by virtue of their like propaganda videos, which are all kill chain videos. They only do kill chain videos. Some propaganda that comes out of Iran is more than a kill chain video. It's like the Lego videos or like a war song. But Hezbollah's propaganda, the way to understand it is Iran's like the Red Sox. They're like a baseball team, all right? They're the major league club. They got all the scouts and they got all the administrators and the network contracts and the billions of dollars. It's just unlimited revenue, unlimited money, unlimited resources. It's just, do they want to spend it and how? All right, they have farm teams. The AAA affiliate is called the Mujahideen for the Islamic Resistance in Lebanon. They're Hezbollah. That's Hezbollah. That is Hezbollah. They have been around since formally 1982. There was a war between, so Israel is a little bit expansionist, to put it lightly. It's probably a good thing for Israel that they were expansionist because now they're going to exist. But the problem is after 1967, to put it lightly, Israel got a little aggressive with, it taking land. And let's just say in 1979, Israel demolished a bunch of homes in southern Lebanon. Now, South Lebanon itself has 15 different sort of communities, if you want to think of them like that. 15 different like religious sort of comprehensive doctrines. In the south, most of the communities are Shia. There's some Catholic Maronite communities. It's very complicated. Catholic Maronites are people who they're like nuns and monks who live lives of silence, and they got expelled. They didn't get expelled. Yeah, they kind of got expelled. They got kicked off of Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel is like a very sacred thing to the Maronite Catholics. So, and they are also the only Christian order in the Eastern Church that stayed loyal to the Pope. So they're like a very special community. There's only like 3 of them, okay? Almost like 50 of the communities south of the Litani in Lebanon and South Lebanon are Shia. They're the same religion as the group that runs Iran, the same sect of Islam. So what happened was, Israel went in and the IDF tried to ethnic cleanse the south of Lebanon in 79, 80, 81, 82. Literally bulldozing homes. It's called scorched earth. They were just burning everything down. What was birthed out of that, right as the Iranian Revolution had happened in 79, was Iran started supporting Hezbollah. Hezbollah became a resistance movement, one, to the Israeli occupation of the occupied territories, but also to the Israeli ethnic cleansing in South Lebanon. By 82, Hezbollah was a force. They were a real thing by 82, and they've been around ever since. When Israel tried to invade Lebanon in 2006, it was Hezbollah that repelled them. When Israel tried to invade Lebanon during the Gaza war in 2023, it was Hezbollah that repelled them. The problem we have is that Israel wants to take all of South Lebanon, all of it, up to the Litani. And Hezbollah, the Lebanese state would have let him do it, the government of Lebanon. But Hezbollah is not the government of Lebanon. They're a military. The AAA affiliate of Iran, they're basically the Quds Force of the IRGC, but with a lot of men and a lot of weapons, like hundreds of thousands of drones and missiles. They're more advanced than most state armies. All right? Now, Hezbollah, they have a lot of respect. The people of Lebanon on the whole probably don't, I don't want to speak for them, but they're probably divided on like Hezbollah, because the government of Lebanon is just non-existent. So the army can't protect them from Israel. The prime minister would like sell out the country for a deal. The president would sell out the country for a deal with Israel in a heartbeat. But Hezbollah actually has the weaponry and the support of Iran to stop Israel militarily. So at this point, it's more like you attack Lebanon, you're going to answer to Hezbollah. What I don't think the Lebanese people want, and I don't think Iran would even push for this, is I don't think the Lebanese people or anyone wants Iran to become Lebanon to become a client state of Iran. Lebanon is not Iran. Lebanon has a serious, pluralistic population. I think Lebanon is my personal opinion. I think Lebanon and its territorial integrity can only be secured by a valid, geostrategic axis with Iran. But that doesn't mean it has to be a client state. In fact, it would really sow a lot of internal discontent, because that would be no better than Israel creating a client state in Lebanon. It's not their land if they're a client state. And they have to be a sovereign state with strong bilateral relationships with protector states, in particular, in this case, Iran, which is different than being a vassal state of Iran. So that's my first opinion. That's true, Reno. Now, the Hezbollah does have a political wing, and the biggest debate in Lebanon right now is whether Hezbollah should disarm, is what it's called. Disarming Hezbollah is almost impossible. It is impossible. You can't disarm. They have a political wing, and then they also have a military that is not the Lebanese army. It's bigger than the Lebanese army. It's better funded. It has more weaponry. They also have banks, and they're enmeshed, Hezbollah, in the social institutions of Lebanon. So I've heard it said you can't come to a truce in Lebanon by killing Hezbollah. That's not going to work. And that's the current Israeli and Western approach, which just means Hezbollah is going to go back to war. Frankly, Hezbollah has enough weapons to just fight this war, especially if Iran gives them the go. And that's why I was monitoring. When you see Hezbollah attack in northern Israel, it's because Iran approved it. All right, so we've seen a few sort of flare-ups over the past 24 hours, but that flare-up in the past hour in particular, it's a very sensitive situation right now. All right, so I'll show you the latest from the Iranian president, who is advising citizens to conserve energy consumption, which is a dangerous
از مردم
harbinger.
عزیزمون که الان آمادند و در صحنه اینجا هم گفتم یه درخواست ساده ای داریم، این که مصرف خودشون رو در برق و انرژی بیارن پایین. فعلا ما نیاز به فداکاری این عزیزان نداریم، ولی نیاز به کنترل مصرف داریم. تو خونه به جایی که 10 تا چراغ روشن بشه 2 تا چراغ روشن بشه چه اشکالی داره؟ اینا زیرساخت ما رو زدن، ما رو در محاصره قرار میدن تا مردم ناراضی بشن و این رضایتی که الان وجود داره تبدیل به نارضایتی بشه. چطوری میتونیم جلوش بایستیم؟ این که ما اون زمینه‌هایی که اونا فکر میکنن باعث نارضایتی رو مردم اجازه ندن اصلا به وجود بیاد. ما از مردم عزیزمون
One more
که
time and then I have
آمادن
another
در
video
صحنه،
for you.
اینجا هم گفتم یه درخواست ساده ای داریم، این که مصرف خودشون رو در برق و انرژی بیارن پایین. فعلا ما نیاز به فداکاری این عزیزان نداریم، ولی نیاز به کنترل مصرف داریم. تو خونه به جایی که 10 تا چراغ روشن بشه 2 تا چراغ روشن بشه چه اشکالی داره؟ اینا زیرساخت ما رو زدن، ما رو در محاصره قرار میدن تا مردم ناراضی بشن و این رضایتی که الان وجود داره تبدیل به نارضایتی بشه. چطوری میتونیم جلوش بایستیم؟ این که ما اون زمینه‌هایی که اونا فکر میکنن باعث نارضایتی رو مردم اجازه ندن اصلا به وجود بیاد. ما از مردم از
All right, so now I have the latest update for you from the Iranian Red Crescent. This one took a second to translate. So this is the latest update for you from the Iranian Red Crescent with English captions. All right, latest from this was just minutes ago. I translated it for you into English. Here we go.
جدولی که می‌بینید جدولی که مربوط به حملات به مناطق غیر نظامی هست. ما سعی کردیم همه اینا رو روزانه مستند برای صلیب سرخ جهانی، دادستان دیوان کیفری بین الملل، حقوق بشر، سازمان ملل و همه نهادهای بین المللی ارسال می‌کنیم. خب اوایل هم کمیته صلیب سرخ ما ازشون خواستیم که محکوم کنن، بعد گفتن که ما چون که مستقلیم نمیتونیم اظهار نظر کنیم. مکتوب من مطالبه گری کردم و در یک جلسه ویدیو کنفرانس محکم ازشون خواستم که باید به وظایف قانونیشون عمل بکنن. تا شب نامه نوشت، هم محکوم کرد، هم قول حمایت و پیگیری داد و هم یه نامه هم به دادستان دیوان کیفری بین الملل داد که اسنادی که از هلال احمر جمهوری اسلامی ایران میاد به عنوان سندهای رسمی مورد پذیرش قرار بگیره. لذا ما هر روز اسناد سازمان‌های ژنو و قوانین مختلف به صورت حقوقی و رسمی برای نهادها فرستادیم و پیگیری کردیم تا جایی که دادستان دیوان کیفری مسابقه کرد، گفت من جایی رو به اسم اسرائیل نمیشناسم و پیگیری خوبی انجام شد. اضافه بر این یک سامانه شهیسی رو با ستاد اجرایی فرمان حضرت کرونا ما تجربه داشتیم، بعد توی جنگ 12 روزه، بعد توی اردوین. توی این جنگ هم برای افزایش تاب‌آوری و مشاوره‌های پزشکی و اجتماعی و روانپزشکی و روانشناسی استفاده کردیم. حدود نزدیک به 2400 نفر متخصص به صورت داوطلب کمک ما کردن و بیش از 200,000 مشاوره دادن که نزدیک 1,000,000 دقیقه میشه و رضایتمندی خیلی خوبی داشت و کارهای خیلی خوبی کردیم. از کشورهای مختلف هم بیانیه‌هایی رو گرفتیم و هم پیگیری‌های مختلفی کردیم. جلسات زیادی رو ما با صلیب سرخ و همتاهای خودمون داشتیم. اون چیزی که آقای درویشپور فرمودن خدمت شما، آقای دکتر، ما 7215 که چند تا نمونه کلیپش رو خدمت شما عرض می‌کنم. خداوند متعال فرمود اگر شما یک نفر نجات بدید انگار همه بشر نجات بدید. آقای دکتر همه شهدا رو تفحص کردیم، حتی اگر شده قطعی رو پیدا کنیم، یعنی کوتاه نیومدیم. از 110,000 نفر نیروی آموزش دیده و تخصصی آمادهمون 25% عملیاتی شد. بقیه به صورت ذخیره آماده بودن که هر زمانی لازم باشه استفاده کنیم. با توجه به جدولی که می‌بینید، جدولی که مربوط به حملات به مناطق غیر نظامی هست. ما سعی کردیم همه اینا رو روزانه.
Latest from Iran. I have another report for you coming in from Beirut's southern suburbs, where there is a rally going on right now, and I'll get you the latest. I'm translating it into English because Interpretel, I don't know if she's awake yet or not, but it's okay. I wouldn't make her do that work. It's a decent amount of video too as well. So right now, my name is Grant Smith Ellis. Thank you very much for being with me. I think the world is a little bit on edge. I'm gonna be with you where there's an interview we're gonna watch with. It's actually very insightful. It's an interview with a member of the Iranian negotiating, a member of the delegation, Professor Marandi. He gave the interview to a great channel that kind of promotes international dialogue. And I want to comment on it. It's probably the closest you're going to get to actually understanding what the Iranian leadership thinks. Because Professor Marandi is a professor of English literature at the University of Tehran. So he actually speaks English very fluently, and he understands the psychology of the West, which is, he's a philosophy professor as well, maybe. He's very smart. So when you listen to the interview, it's probably the best way, and it's from within the last hour or two, it's probably the best way to actually understand the position of the Iranian delegation. They're not even talking to the U.S. right now. If you listen to him, he says they're basically ready for war, which is why I'm on edge. He basically says they're incapable. I'm not going to speak for him. I'm not even going to try to paraphrase it. He's way too eloquent for me to paraphrase it. And he's like a geopolitical expert. I do want to play this report from southern Lebanon that just came in a minute ago, though. This is from Al Mayadeen. This is from southern Lebanon just 1 minute ago. The report is on a rally that's taking place right now in the southern suburbs of Beirut, and I'll present it to you with English captions. Hello, Mohammed. How are you, my dear friend?
متواجدون في دوار الكفاءات في الضاحية الجنوبية لبيروت. هنا تنظم وقفة داعمة للمقاومة الإسلامية في لبنان من مختلف الطوائف اللبنانية. المشاركون هنا حسين أتوا من مختلف المناطق من البقاع ومن الشمال اللبناني وأيضا من العاصمة اللبنانية بيروت. نرى بعدسة كاميرا الميادين حجم المشاركة حسين هنا، وأريد أن أشير أن هذه الوقفة تزامنت مع تحليق للمسيرات الإسرائيلية في سماء الضاحية الجنوبية، وهذا نوع من أنواع الخروقات الإسرائيلية المستمرة. معي أحد المشاركين في هذه الوقفة. تفضلي. اليوم تشاركون في هذه الوقفة تحت وقع المسيرات الإسرائيلية. ماذا تود أن تقولوا من قلب الضاحية؟
من قلب الضاحية الجنوبية ومن تحت المسيرات ومن قرب الدمار. ها هنا الدمار وهنا المقاومة، هنا الموت وهنا الحياة. نريد أن نقول للعدو الإسرائيلي أن هذا القتل وهذا الاستشهاد وهذا الدمار لن يزيدنا، للعدو والصديق هذا القتل لن يزيدنا إلا عزما وإلا وعيا وإلا ثباتا وإلا تمسكا بخيار المقاومة التي لا طائفة لها سوى طائفة الحق، مقاومة من كل الطوائف. وأريد أن أقول للمجاهدين في جنوب لبنان: نقبل أيديكم القابضة على الزناد، نقبل جباهكم التي أعلت كل رأس. نحن أمامكم ونحن أنتم، فداكم أرواحنا، امضوا بنا إلى الأمام وافعلوا ما شئتم وانظروا إلى أقصى القوم، معكم حتى الموت لكي لا يكون لبنان هذا في يوم من الأيام إسرائيليا.
جزيلا. نعم، هذا هو لسان حال من شارك في هذه الوقفة اليوم من قلب الضاحية الجنوبية لبيروت. مع انتهاء مدة وقف إطلاق النار الجولة الأولى منتصف مساء غد، ماذا تقول؟
هم مش معنيين فين كل سوا، انطلاقا من قناعتنا بأنه لا يقدر على دفع ضريبة الدم إلا الذين يقدرون شرف الحياة. نقول لعدونا الصهيوني الأمريكي وللحسالات القذارات من الخاضعين الخانعين من كل الجهات ومن الزاحفين على أعتاب السفارات بأننا رغم الاعتداءات، رغم الاغتيالات، رغم المعاناة، نؤكد بكل عزيمة وإرادة وثبات بأننا كنا وما زلنا وسنبقى أمة التضحيات، فرسان المواجهات، صناع الانتصارات. لن تسقط لنا راية والذلة منا هيهات.
متواجدون في دوار
Well, I think you know how that man felt. I'm telling you. It's not like these people are actors, because I've seen hundreds of these interviews. They're just some very impassioned people speaking with the soul of God. That's the only way I can explain it. You can't script that, because when you're reading off a script, you can't have emotion. It's too hard. You'd come off as like an anchor. Today, in northern Zambia, 4 members of the parliament met with the prime minister. They informed the prime minister that they had concerns about the state of his government. Only upon the conclusion of the meeting did the separatist parties agree to withhold their demands for removal of the funds from the central bank. You just can't do it. I wasn't even reading. I'm just showing, like, your brain will override you if you're reading a script, especially live. You have to have the soul. You have to have the fire in your soul to do that live. I can just tell when someone's BSing. the people of Lebanon don't BS. You could argue that it's propaganda because the people at the rally support the position of the rally, but I mean, it's not like they faked it. They didn't train that guy or that woman. Maybe they have some public speaking skills, so they were kind of like, oh, you're really good at speaking, you should go on. But my point is, you can't fake it. That's not the kind of thing you can fake. It's very hard to fake. Almost impossible. Once, yeah, but not a lot. All right, so I want to listen to this interview while we monitor. This is like the most recent interview with the Iranian delegation. It aired like an hour ago. I'm thrilled that there are at least channels that are able to like put these voices out there, because I wouldn't know what the Iranians were thinking.
2026, and our dear friend, our
let's
brother,
take a listen.
Professor Marandi is here with us.
Professor Marandi was a member of the 2025 delegation that negotiated with the U.S. He was in Islamabad as an expert consult for the most recent rounds in April of 2026 of negotiations. He knows Vitkov, he knows Kushner, he knows the vice president, he knows all of them very well. So this man is the Iranian perspective in English.
Welcome back, Professor.
Thank you, Nima. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a great pleasure.
Let me start with yesterday, what has happened yesterday. We learned from the Iranian foreign ministry that he's going on a tour to Islamabad, then to Muscat, and later on to Moscow. And then something came out in the mainstream media. Basically, the Caroline Levitt, the secretary of, the speaker of White House, she said that they're going to send Steve Witkoff together with Jared Kushner to talk with Iranians in Islamabad. What was that? Was there any sort of communications between Iranians and Americans, and what is happening in Islamabad?
No, there are no direct communications. There are no direct negotiations. There are no indirect negotiations. Sorry, my cough won't go away. It's been with me for months now, but or at least for many weeks.
Alerts! Major alerts in the north. Alerts! Massive wave of attacks from Hezbollah in the north. Alerts!
This is all about.
Oh no! I want the song. No, I want the damn song. I demand the song. That's it. I demand the song. Play me the song. That's it. I can feel it in my towel bones, the pace of the bombings, the rhetoric, the activity of it all. I'm calling it. Play the song. Thank you. Let's go. Oh, you know what time it is. You want to play the game, we're going to do it. Let's go.
این فصل آخر است که آغاز می‌کنیم. این بار همه نام حق اجاز می‌کنیم. دریا گواه ماست که فرعون نماندنیست. داریم سوی معرکه پرواز میکنیم. درستم تهمتنی. این تو شیر پیل افکنی. بزن که خوب میزنی. نترس از این که دارد روبرویت ناو می آید، که دارد سوی یک شیر گرسنه گاو می آید. تو رستم تهمتنی. تو شیر پیل افکنی. به فرق کاخ و تختشان، به زندگی نحزشان، به قلب دشمن دنی بزن که خوب میزنی نمیبینی به ایران باز هم طاغوت برگردد نمیبینی به ایران باز هم طاغوت برگردد تجاوزکار میبایست با تابوت برگردد تو رستم تهمتنی تو شیر پیل افکنی از این نبرد خسته شد ابهتش شکسته شد
I'm ready. I'm frustrated, but I didn't like all the lies. Iran is gonna pick their spots, and this is just. It was wrong to do this to the world. Not from Iran. It was just wrong what the world was put through over the past 10 days. It was a nice break, but it does. It was wrong mentally to do that to people.
بگو با زورگویان استقامت میکند ایران ببین در معرکه اینک قیامت میکند
As soon as Hezbollah hits civilians, as soon as they do, Israel will bomb Lebanon, and then Iran will bomb Israel.
تو رستم تهمتنی تو شیر پیل افکن
Hezbollah is going to get frustrated with Iran, and so just watch. I don't like where this is going. I'm frustrated. I didn't like how the negotiations were handled. I didn't like how people were treated. I thought that it was fake from the start because of the way it was being approached, and it was going to cause more harm than good. Now I'm just frustrated.
بزن که خوب میزنی خداست یار و یاورد توکل اصلش یارد تو فوق هرچه آهنی
Alright, that's a song I play when I hear alerts. I'll get you the updates from northern Israel, where I am almost certain that Hezbollah just shelled civilians with drones. Almost certain.
It could be that they're trying to.
I guess it's not shelling if you use a drone.
They're definitely
more of a strike.
To tell the American people that the Iranians are weak and the Iranians want to speak with us and they want to capitulate for either one of two reasons. One, to buy time, but also to perhaps prepare the grounds for an assault. Because if when he says the Iranians want to talk, the Iranians want to meet us, the Iranians want to give up all these different things, and then when it doesn't happen, he can come out and say, which he has done already once, before. He can say they promised this, but they didn't do it, so we have to, we have to attack them. We have to do it by force. So the dishonesty of the Trump White House, I think, is clear for everyone. But the Iranian delegation is going to Pakistan. This is a response to the Pakistani delegation to Iran for mediation efforts. And Dr. Ghalibaf is sending, from my understanding, has sent a written message to the Pakistanis, which probably I'm sure the Pakistanis will hand over to the Americans, and that's how it's always worked. I think as has been made clear, except for the day when we were in Islamabad, and Dr. Ghalibaf, along with Dr. Bagheri and Dr. Araqchi, negotiated with Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner. Besides that day, we have not had direct or indirect negotiations. We've had messages go back and.
I don't think it's a rift between Hezbollah and Iran. I think Hezbollah's job is to test Israel's air defenses. The more waves of attack you see from Hezbollah, the more likely it is that they're testing the air defenses. They use attacks from Hezbollah to confuse the Israeli interceptors before attacks, but I don't foresee Iran striking unless they are struck. Unless there is an attack on Iran, I don't foresee them striking, which could, if the attacks are just on southern Lebanon, eventually cause Hezbollah to say, why aren't you doing anything? That's what I'm concerned about.
Fourth, which has been going on for many years. This is nothing new. So Dr. Ghalibaf his written message, I'm sure, will have a lot to do with the current situation between Iran and the United States. Of course, the Iranians are preparing for war. It could happen at any time. Some believe it is imminent. Some not so much. They don't believe that that's the case. In any case, the United States has brought in a lot of assets to the region, but the Iranians have also been preparing themselves during the last few weeks. And every day that goes by, the global economic crisis becomes more explosive because the Strait of Hormuz is closed.
Indeed, Mohammed, I remember.
Policy, thanks to the war, thanks to Netanyahu. Because, as we all remember, before the war, the Strait of Hormuz was open for everyone. And when the war started, of course, Iran did not allow ships linked to the 5 countries that were helping the Americans wage war against Iran, helping the Americans and the Israelis. But other ships like Iranian
ships, it is
ships,
a cat and
Iraqi
mouse
ships,
game. It's frustrating and very scary,
Russian
I'm
ships,
sure.
Chinese ships would go through.
All right, here's the latest from Hezbollah coming in just now. And I will try to update you on the drones that were just fired at the northern settlements near Netanya. And here's the latest from Hezbollah's war media just 20 minutes ago. It's called Parade of Folly. I don't know what that means.
זו הייתה דעתי שנים ארוכות. אני יודעת את הבעיות ואת הקשיים ואת הסכנות הגדולות ליישובי הצפון, אבל חשבתי שאנחנו צריכים לצאת משם.
That's a very... The tone of that, I just need to tell you, is very threatening. Taking you now to southern Lebanon earlier today, where Israel, of course, hello Damon, it's so good to see you, where of course, I didn't think Hezbollah just fired wantonly. There was multiple strikes on southern Lebanon this morning, where at least 4 people were killed. This is Al-Qaim. That was the latest from Al-Qaim. I'm not really sure. I need to be very clear with you. I am not sure the state of anything right now. The Iranian foreign minister has left Pakistan. The latest American report is that Kushner and Witkoff are about to leave to go to Pakistan. But as you know, that has been said about 77,000 times at this point. I'm being a little bit hyperbolic. So I'm going to listen to just 1 hour ago, maybe an hour and a half, the most recent interview with a member of the Iranian delegation to find out what's actually going on.
And then after the ceasefire, one of the, I'm sorry I'm repeating this, and you know this, and I'm sure most of your audience does too, but just a reminder, it's useful for people to remember why we are here. So according to the ceasefire, the Israeli regime was supposed to abide by a ceasefire. And by the way, today they killed at least 4 people so far today in Lebanon. They're killing Palestinians in large numbers, slaughtering kids as well. But in any case, they were supposed to abide by the ceasefire, and they didn't. And Netanyahu began carpet bombing. So Iran said, we're not going to allow those extra ships to go through. The extra ships mean the ships that are linked to hostile countries, like the Emirates, like Kuwait, like Qatar, like Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, who were involved in the war against us. So Iran refrained from allowing ships to go through. Then finally, after 10 days or so, Netanyahu was forced to accept the ceasefire. Iran agreed to let those extra ships go through, as we saw in Dr. Araghchi's tweet. But then Trump said that he's going to continue to enforce an embargo on Iranian ports, which he had done a few days earlier. In other words, after the Israeli regime violated the ceasefire and Iran said, we're not going to send the ships, we're not going to allow the ships to go through, then the Americans imposed an embargo. And since the Americans said, we're going to keep that embargo, the Iranians said, or that siege, the Iranians said, okay, then we're not going to allow these ships to leave. So during the last 16, 17 days, we could have had a lot of ships leaving the Strait of Hormuz to ease the global economic crisis. But what Netanyahu and Trump did through their violations was to increase the global economic crisis. So each day that goes by, the situation for the entire world gets worse. And so while there's no fighting on the ground, there are no explosions and no airstrikes and no missile strikes, but this crisis is going to eat away at the global economy.
We've learned yesterday that Iranian, the IRGC vessels escorted one of the tankers from the Gulf of Oman, from the Sea of Oman to the Persian Gulf, avoiding the U.S. Navy operation, because they wanted to seize this tanker, but they couldn't do it because of IRGC going there and escorting. Are we going to see more of this sort of operations on the part of IRGC and some sort of confrontation? It's not a war, but it's confrontation between IRGC and U.S. Navy.
I assume so. I mean, I can't say as an official to respond. I don't know the details. Continue to protect these ships, and so the chances for some sort of confrontation increase as a result. But in any case, if the United States launches another wave of aggression against Iran, then I think that probably we're going to see a lot of missiles and drones and airstrikes being carried out. So for the time being, as long as there is a ceasefire, I think that the Iranians are going to continue trying to protect their ships, and that could lead to some sort of military standoff or some sort of clash, which could then expand into something much bigger. It's a very tense situation right now.
Is the leadership in Iran fractured, as Donald Trump trying to picture in the West, that the leadership is fractured, somehow pointing out or sharing, an article that mentions, let's go after those people who are not willing to deal with us and keep those people who are agreeing to deal with us. What is that?
Well, this is the language of the 19th, 18th century, early 20th century empire and imperialism and colonialism. The politically correct language and the language of international law, that has all been thrown into the bin. And so now the Americans are just behaving like thugs. They behave like thugs. They talk like thugs. It's like the mafia. Trump is a mafia boss, and these are his lieutenants in the media. I mean, when we were in Islamabad, the Washington Post called for the assassination of the Iranian negotiators, and when we were coming back, we were waiting for a missile to strike the plane. So these are the media, these think tankers, these politicians. They're all like sort of lieutenants of the mafia don. But no, there's no fracture in Iran. I think by now everyone recognizes how Western media works. Even media that's opposed to Trump, when it comes to Iran, when it comes to Hezbollah, when it comes to the Israeli regime, they will repeat the propaganda, and they will talk about divisions in Iran because they may hate each other, but they're on the same team when it comes to the empire, and of course, when it comes to the Islamic Republic of Iran and the axis of resistance. And Iran is clear. It's just like before the war. We have a leader. The Constitution is very clear about his role and status. He's a very well-known person to senior politicians. He was not a public figure for ordinary Iranians, but senior figures knew him for decades because he worked in Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei's office. Then we have the Supreme National Security Council. After the martyrdom of Dr. Larijani, we have a new chair. It functions as before. And Dr. Ghalibaf, he has a mandate on behalf of the Supreme National Security Council, which includes the heads of the three branches of power of government, the head of the president, who's the head of the council, the head of the judiciary, the head of Speaker of Parliament. You have military leaders, you have people from the cabinet, and two representatives from the leader. So the Supreme National Security Council designated, with the support of the leader, Dr. Ghalibaf to carry out negotiations with the United States. So it's clear who the decision maker is.
I have a statement from the Iranian embassy in South Africa. Iran has prepared for the largest missile strike in history, this was 17 minutes ago, against Israel and U.S. bases in West Asia to be launched immediately upon detection of any signs of an attack. All right, I think we are all on edge right now.
And
if the U.S. and Israel strike Iran, Iran is ready. The reason why they're being so quiet is they already have their strike package ready. They're waiting for an excuse to deploy it. I don't know if America and Israel are going to be able to talk themselves out of this cycle of escalation, because if they strike once, Iran's going to launch a strike that I don't know if the world is ready for, which is, I'm not making this up as an analyst and saying this is what I think. Professor Morandi's hinting at it. I'm not analyzing what he's saying. I'm telling you what the Iran embassy in South Africa said 17 minutes ago on Twitter.
He's the one who negotiates, of course, within the framework that the council and the leader have designated for him. So there's no division, there's no factions. This is not like some fragmented country, broken country where there are different factions holding different territory or anything like that. It's a normal country, and if you go out on the streets, everything is normal. The police are there. The garbage is taken every night. It's just as it was before. So this sort of propaganda is basically to help strengthen a particular narrative, and that is that maybe for example, Trump wants to buy time, so he's saying, well, we have to wait and see what's happening in Iran for us to be able to make a decision. But also a second purpose, or that could be in parallel with this, would be to justify an assault on Iran, saying that they can't make a decision because they're fragmented, or someone is blocking. So someone is blocking a decision, and so we have to start killing people again in order to get the right people to be able to make the decision, and that sort of nonsense. But it basically would be a justification to buy time. It could be, and it could also be a justification ultimately to wage war against the country. But it has nothing to do with the reality in Iran. If in fact, if we were really to look at the facts on the ground and make such a comment, it would be easier to say that the United States is deeply divided. We see that senior military, high-ranking officials have been removed. The latest being the Secretary of the Navy. That there's talk of a sort of civil war brewing in the Pentagon. We see politicians increasingly saying that Trump is not fit for governance to be president. So if we look at the evidence on the ground and the news that comes out of the United States, the divisions are in Washington, not in Iran. There's no one has been removed from power. No one has been, no senior military officials have been moved. No political figures have been moved. Dr. Ghalibaf is in charge of the file. So that's just all nonsense.
Because there were other news as well that they said Dr. Ghalibaf was removed from his position as the main negotiator or as the head of delegation.
All right, I've had a request. This video I did actually already find. I was going to play it for you. So for those of you who are wondering, Iran speaks through its its state TV and the media that it publishes, especially like these videos. This is the newest video that they've published. It is about Benjamin Netanyahu and the announcement that he's been hiding his cancer diagnosis from the Israeli people for months. So I'm going to take you now to the latest. This is sort of how Iran, they will have their military do statements, but strangely they speak through these type of videos. I don't know why. I think it's because they think this is the best way to encode their messaging to a Western audience. Anyway, we're going to find out what they have to say.
Yo, baby, did you check the label? Check it. You're expired, bro, burnt out, done. The masses found a new pawn, and your body found a tumor. Welcome to the end of the line, BB, bye, bye, bye. The tumor's alive, BB, bye, bye. Burning in the sky, BB, bye, bye. The end is so nice, BB, bye, bye. No need to even try, BB, bye, bye. Did you see the news? You're a burnt out pawn. The masses left you out on a bloody lawn. Your history is trash and your luck is gone. Waiting for the hell to reach its dawn. The expiration date is on your stale face. So ugly. You're an embarrassment to the human race. The cells are taking over at a deadly pace, leaving the planet with no trace. Bye bye. The tumor's alive. Bye bye bye. Burning in the sky. Bye bye bye. The end is so nice. Bye bye bye. No need to even try. How can the cancer catch your cancer now? It's magic. The universe is making its final bow. The butcher's failing and he don't know how, but the kids in Gaza are laughing. Wow. No metastasis is your final life. We see you watching the butcher as he starts to fry. No one's gonna help you when you start to cry. Even the devil's waving you goodbye. The whole world is cheering for the prostate news. Watching you sinking in your bloody shoes. You're the only monster that we're up to lose. Pay the karma debt for the kid you abuse. The screen is flickering, your end is here. So close. The sound of justice is in every ear. The tumor is the only thing we don't fear. Watching you vanish while we all cheer. The tumor's alive. Bye bye. Burning in the sky. Bye bye. The end is so nice. Bye bye. No need to even try. Wake up, baby.
Your subscription to life has been canceled.
The master's found a new toy, and you're just a glitch now. Even your own DNA is voting you out. Go ahead, cry, nobody's listening. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up.
Wake up. Bye bye.
Wake up.
Bye bye.
Well, And they certainly have a way of communicating their political messaging. It's kind of starting to evolve, too. They're starting to mix the Legos into the real world. The Real World Legos Challenge. Hashtag 1998 MTV. Alright, there was something I wanted to show you. Oh yes, this is a terribly disturbing scene. This is in Dabel, Israel. Dabel, southern Lebanon, where Israeli forces are... This was on April 24th. So yesterday at 10:40 a.m. local time in Lebanon. The Israeli forces are just destroying those solar panels. There's no reason for it. Maybe they thought Hezbollah was under the solar panels? I'm not sure. Are there any Hezbollah under there? I don't think there's any Hezbollah under there. Are you sure that... Nope, I don't think that's necessary. I think you could just look under them. I don't think you have to destroy the Lebanese people's solar panels. There's no Hezbollah under there. It makes me think that you're not really looking for Hezbollah, you're just destroying things. Yeah, that's not good. That's Dabel, southern Lebanon, yesterday. Israeli bulldozers are just destroying solar infrastructure. Apparently they hate renewable technology. In Boston, I'm not really sure why this is there. You know, we see a lot of things in Boston. That's not really something you see every day. I don't know what that is doing there. You know, that's kind of a big military vehicle for, like, the middle of Faneuil Hall. I don't really have an explanation for that. You know, they're just kind of driving around. I don't really know why. I'll tell you, though, that's not very normal. I mean, I've seen some helicopters. I've seen, like, a convoy or two, but I've never seen that thing on the road. I don't know what that is. It looks dangerous. It looks like it could hurt some people if it wanted to. Kind of looks like an angry duck boat. So I don't exactly know what that is, or why it's on my roads. Yeah, it's not good for the roads. It can drive on a highway, because the highway is built. All highways in the U.S. have to be 4 feet off the ground, so that military vehicles can drive on them. It's almost like it was a military project to move troops around easily. Don't tell anyone. They'll never figure it out, the civilians. They'll just think it's for driving their cars around, all convenient like. Eisenhower was a genius. But yeah, I don't really know what that vehicle is. It looks like a pretty angry vehicle. On a scale of 1 to angry. It looks mad. But that does not mean that it's doing anything. It's just there. You know, that's my city. That's Boston. That's the City Hall building. Faneuil Hall's behind you. That's like the courts over there. That's a bunch of like the SJC and the Suffolk Superior Court. That's a car boat. Yes. It's definitely an amphibious vehicle, but it looks like it has like guns on it. It looks pretty angry. That looks like a gunner sitting up on the top there. I'm not really sure what he's doing. I'm not really sure what they're doing. Maybe they were just, I mean, like, that can't be good for the roads. Maybe they're just hanging out. Yeah, so I don't really know, like, what to tell you about all that. That's the EM-50 Urban Assault Vehicle. Okay. Well, I don't think I've ever... Let's see. I think we need a... Let's see if I can play the Urban Assault Vehicle remix of Rollin' by Limp Bizkit. We need the Urban Assault Vehicle remix of Rollin' by Limp Bizkit. That's what I feel this calls for. I don't know if I'm going to be allowed to play it. Come on, show me a winner. Oh, that's outrageous. No, they won't let me play it. That's so unfair. Why can't I play the song Rollin', the Urban Assault Vehicle remix by Limp Bizkit? This is a travesty. It's a sham. It's a mockery. I am offended. I am as offended as water under the fridge for standing up for the rights of speech in the honorable towel-based parliament. Anyway, my point is I don't exactly know why that is in my streets. I'd like to find out more information. Let's go back to this interview. I have to finish listening to this because this is I can't listen to 7 different TV channels tell me what the Iranian position is. We're just going to learn the Iranian
delegation.
position. This is 1 hour ago, maybe an hour and a half, with a member of the Iranian negotiating team, Professor
And
Murad.
I don't know where did that come from, but
That's hilarious,
they
Basketball
were
Jones.
talking about this as well. And what are they trying?
It turns out it's actually an M1126 Stryker. Trust me, I know about geopolitics. I don't know anything about military vehicles. I'm learning more about ballistic missiles by the day. Not that I really want to, just have to be able to identify them. But yeah, when we start talking about types of vehicles, what the vehicle does, nope, just completely out of my league. So it looks like a M1126 Stryker. I don't know what that is, but you all are very smart, so you can talk about it.
To achieve by these sort of rhetorics, in your opinion?
Ah, yes, of course. It's just Mayor Wu's security detail. Of course.
What is the main goal? Because we know that the Iranian system, they don't have first-hand information from Iran, and they're trying to make some for themselves, for the consumption in the West. Your understanding of that?
Well, I think part of it is also psychological warfare for inside Iran, an attempt to make people feel that the situation is not good. At the end, because ultimately, people here, a strong majority of people here believe Iran won the war. And a strong majority of Iranians believe that the government should not be very flexible at all at the negotiating table. So, and the Americans right now, they're trying to gain concessions at the negotiating table, which they were unable to do so on the battlefield. So one way to do this is to demoralize Iranians, to divide Iranians, to make them fearful of stability at home, I would assume. Now, it hasn't had that effect. I believe that Iranians see through all the propaganda. They live with Western propaganda day and night, every day, and it's been going on for decades. So I don't see it having an impact in Iran, but I do think that maybe Trump is speaking to his own base. He's trying to, because the war is unpopular. So on the one hand, he may be trying to buy time to say, well, they can't decide. So maybe he wants to get more assets in place in the region, or to see if he can find an off ramp. But also, if he is planning to attack, and that's quite possible, very possible, then he would want to be able to convince his base that I tried to have peace, but it was the other side that is unable to make any moves because they're hardliners and they're moderates and they're at war with each other and that sort of nonsense. So I think it has a lot to do with his own constituency in the United States, but also trying to have an impact maybe on the ground in Iran.
How about that 8 women that Donald Trump saved from execution?
They were all blonde, if you notice. They all had similar pictures, and it was all fake. But it says a lot about many people. For example, I don't know if you saw my debate with Piers Morgan 3-4 days ago, but he also tweeted this and said, "Oh, this is great news." But I'm sure he knows that this is fake. I'm sure he knew when he did that tweet, because he has producers and they do research and they give him it was obvious this was all fake. There was not a single woman who was about to be executed for, I don't know, armed rebellion or anything. It was all just nonsense. So that is also the psychological warfare. And it was used by Trump to both demonize Iran, but also he said, well, they decided not to execute them so that the Iranians gave me those concessions. He wants to strengthen his hand at home and say, look, my threats and my power and my position have forced the Iranians to give me concessions. It's what Trump does. It's the only thing he's good at, actually.
Actually, I'm not sure, Professor Mandy, if Piers Morgan knew about the reality, because the guy, he's so much into the rhetorics in the West, and he's one of the main.
Well, the reason why I say this is that he retweeted the tweet of Trump hours later, and I do know that he does respond to my own tweets, and I and others wrote that this is fake news. Maybe, I mean, it's not impossible, but nowadays it's not like a year before. Now people have woken up across the world. And so, for example, when people like myself and others, in the past, when we would say something online, the likes and the retweets were much less than now. Now people everywhere are seeing through the propaganda. They see that Trump is just making stuff up. Before, I think if they put out this story of 8 women on the verge of execution or whatever, I think a lot more people would have believed it. And that's how it usually was. The anti-Iranian propaganda was much more effective in the past. But nowadays, people are seeing right through it, and people are more active in responding to it because they know what the objectives are. They know that these lies are to justify death and destruction and murder. Just like, Trump recently extended the ceasefire in Lebanon, right? But Israel is killing Lebanese citizens in large numbers. I mean, 4 people already just this morning. Or in Gaza, the slaughter in Gaza is really bad. I mean, the genocide is ongoing. But you don't, the only thing you hear in the Western media is a ceasefire, an extended ceasefire. And you would assume that in Gaza there's a ceasefire. But people see through this today. We're living in a very different environment. People have woken up to, I mean, every day that the Israeli regime carries out atrocities, it only strengthens the anti-Zionist movement. It only awakens people further because so many people are now involved and they're reacting negatively to what they do. So when Trump puts out this propaganda or repeats this propaganda about these 8 women, before it would have had, I think, a lot more public support because people were ignorant. Many more people were ignorant about what's really going on in the world. But today I feel that it doesn't have that sort of, the United States doesn't have the ability to manipulate public opinion across the world as it did before. But maybe you're right. I mean, maybe Piers Morgan simply thought that way. But his producers do their research. They go out and seek, they check stuff and they know what I tweet. They know what others tweet. So when he tweets something like that, it's hard for me to imagine that he doesn't know. And if he didn't, he would probably soon afterwards be informed about it. But again, maybe you're right.
Professor Marandi, what's going on? I think it's much deeper than that. And you look at the way that the Israeli AI generated videos, they're trying to picture that Iranian women were somehow raped during the protests. Iranian kids were raped. And looking at the numbers that they're giving us, even the president of the United States talking about 45,000 people were killed. We had some sort of 80,000 people. So where did it come from? Looking at what has happened in Gaza, I think they're trying to diminish, somehow distract people from the reality in Gaza, from what has happened in Gaza. Because we had this case of rape in Israel, rape in prison, the people who were captured, the Palestinians who were in prison in Israel, they were.
I'd prefer a little bit of a content warning, not because of the wording, just, you may not know this, but you can't just start talking about that. Either use the term SA, I'm not being hypercritical, but either use the term SA or give a warning that you're going to talk about that. I'm going to break this up by going to the latest from Pakistan, where the Foreign Ministry of Pakistan is expected to make a statement any moment now. But just as some advice to my colleagues, if you're gonna talk about SA and the public interest weighs in favor of explaining what is going on, just give a little warning or use the term SA. Either one, just don't go right into it. And that word in particular, I realize it's important in the context of war to tell people, but just I don't know. I would urge extreme caution, and I would urge not just jumping into a report about like sexual violence without saying first that you're going to talk about it, so you give people a chance if it hurts them to turn it off. So just a piece of advice. Here's the latest from Pakistan just 3 minutes ago from Al Haddad with English captions. I did these personally.
بأن الفريق أو الوفد الإيراني غادر الفندق الذي كان يقيم فيه في إسلام آباد. هو الآن في الحقيقة في طريقه إلى القاعدة الجوية نور خان. إذن هو في طريقه لهذه القاعدة الجوية للمغادرة، ولكن أيضا ما نعرفه بأنه في انتظار الآن بيان من الخارجية الباكستانية لتوضيح ما جرى. إذا نحن في انتظار بيان من الخارجية الباكستانية، نترقب هذا البيان لتتضح الصورة أكثر حول ما الذي جرى في هذه المحادثات. عراقجي كان التقى بقائد الجيش وكان التقى بعد ذلك برئيس الوزراء الذي كان في لاهور، ثم جاء إلى إسلام آباد للقاء عراقجي. لا تفاصيل كثيرة حول هذا اللقاء وحول المطالب وحول ما قدم إيرانيا. ما نعرفه بأن إيران أو الوفد الإيراني جاء ليسلم ردا إيرانيا وصفه الإيرانيون بالشامل حول مطالب أو حول ما قدم لهم أمريكيا عبر الوسيط الباكستاني. ولكن في إطار دائما هذه المباحثات كان من المفترض أو بحسب المصادر صباحا بأن الوفد الأمريكي فعلا كان سيصل، ولكن الآن نحتاج لتحديثات أكثر حول ما يتعلق بهذا الوفد الأمريكي المتكون خاصة من المبعوثين جاريد كوشنر وويتكوف، وحول إمكانية قدومهما إلى هنا مرة أخرى. إذا ما كان يجري الحديث عنه صباحا ربما تغير الآن مع هذا التأكيد بحسب المصادر بأنه فعلا عراقجي في طريقه لمغادرة إسلام آباد. ومن هنا إذا لا نتحدث عن ساعات قليلة ولا ربما عن أيام قليلة قبل أن نتحدث مرة أخرى عن هذا التفاوض أو عن هذه المباحثات. إذا إن غادر أيضا هناك تساؤل ما زال يطرح في انتظار أجوبة دقيقة من قبل المصادر. إن كان عراقجي سيغادر إلى الوجهتين هما مسقط وموسكو ثم إلى طهران، أم سيعود مرة أخرى إلى هنا مرة أخرى إسلام آباد لبحث الملفات العالقة أو لبدء التفاوض. إذن في الحقيقة نحن في انتظار هذا البيان من الخارجية الباكستانية. إن صدر هذا البيان
طيب ماذا قالت لك المصادر سارة؟
عراقجي على ما يبدو فعلا.
ماذا قالت لك مصادرك في باكستان حول يعني الرد الإيراني؟ هل هناك أي تسريبات حول هذا الرد الإيراني؟ وأعلم تماما سارة بأن هناك تكتم باكستاني عادة في إعطاء المعلومات.
صحيح، هناك تكتم وتعتيم، ومع هذا في بعض الأحيان يسربون معلومات قليلة مرتبطة بالتفاوض. كان هناك في محاولة لإشاعة جو تفاؤلي حتى إلى غاية صباح اليوم، ولكن ما بعد ذلك ما بعد لقاء عراقجي قائد الجيش لم تكن هناك تحديثات جديدة مرتبطة بالجو العام. كان ينتظر أو تنتظر الزيارة أو ينتظر اللقاء في الحقيقة الثاني الذي يجمع بين عراقجي وبين رئيس الوزراء. في الحقيقة نجي لنحاول أن نفهم المشهد أكثر مع من يتابعون دائما هذا الملف هنا في باكستان. وينضم إلينا الآن أسامة جمشيد الصحفي الباكستاني والمحلل السياسي في محاولة ربما سريعة لنفهم منه ما الذي جرى. سيد أسامة، ما الذي جرى؟ عراقجي يغادر إسلام آباد.
حتى الآن لا توجد أنباء وتصريحات من طرف الإعلام الرسمي الباكستاني واضحة تبين أو تقول أن عراقجي غادر حتى إلى هذا الوقت، لكن نحتمل إذا كان غادر أو سيغادر. هناك المحادثات والمفاوضات تستمر. عراقجي طبعا من حتى الآن يعني التقى بقيادات عسكرية، قيادات الجمهورية، وأعطى من طرفه رده واقتراحاته وسلم كل شيء. وهنا الوفد المرتقب الوفد الأمريكي أيضا يأخذ ما قدم من مقترحات ومن ردود وما من حل وسط.
سيد أسامة، هنا في باكستان ما الذي تعرفونه؟ الوفد الأمريكي هل سيأتي ومتى سيأتي؟
أيضا هناك يعني تصريحات متضاربة، لا ندري يعني متى يصل متى لا نصل. يعني كما قلت في التسجيل الأول، مع كل دقيقة ومع كل تغريدة تغير الأوضاع، لكن هناك أمل كبير لإحلال السلام وأيضا استمرار المحادثات. حتى لو غادرت جاءت الوفد الأول الأمريكي والإيراني وذهب، المحادثات تستمر. لماذا؟ لأن باكستان هي تحاول وهي تضمن لكل الطرفين، ومساعي باكستانية معروفة، وحتى في الأوساط الشعبية، معظم الأوساط الشعبية هناك أمل كبير لإحلال السلام ونجاح هذه المفاوضات. والباكستان، الدبلوماسية الباكستانية ليست متوقفة فقط في داخل الباكستان فقط، فإنما هي أيضا تتواصل مع السلطات، مع الدول الأخرى لإنجاح هذه العملية ولهذا المستوى. نعم.
إذا إنجي مثل ما ذكرنا بأنه ربما إلى غاية الآن حتى الإعلام الباكستاني وسيد أسامة هو من بين الصحفيين الباكستانيين يحاولون الحصول على معلومات إضافية حول ما جرى في هذه الجولة. ما نعرفه، أذكر مرة أخرى بأن وزير الخارجية في طريقه إلى مغادرة إسلام آباد، وبأننا في انتظار تحديث باكستاني حول ما جرى في هذه اللقاءات. لقاءات قال الإيرانيون منذ البداية إنها ستكون مباحثات إيرانية باكستانية، لم يتحدثوا عن لقاءات مع الأمريكيين. وأيضا مع كل ما أشيع هنا من تفاؤل بعد هذه الزيارة، وقبل ذلك بعد المكالمة الهاتفية أشيع من تفاؤل باكستاني تحديدا عن عقد جولة جديدة بين الأمريكيين والإيرانيين عبر الوسيط الباكستاني. نعم. ولكن إلى غاية اللحظة التساؤل مازال يرتبط إن كان الوفد هذا الإيراني سيغادر للوجهتين ثم لطهران أم سيعود بعد الوجهتين مرة أخرى إلى هنا.
So there's the latest from Pakistan. That was a very helpful report. I'm very glad I was able to translate that into those English captions. I thought that was very helpful. We need to, for those of you who are wondering about what is the Iranian delegation thinking, because that's what it all comes down to. Really, anything could happen. Right now, I do not hyperbolically state this. There is no rational analysis about this that is wrong, because anything could happen. We could go back to peace talks, although that seems increasingly unlikely. My optimism is fading. And we could see further conflict in Lebanon and South Lebanon and North Israel. We could see Iran get attacked and then bomb American positions and Israel. Anything could happen. Quite literally anything. But here is 1.5 hours ago, the latest from inside the Iranian delegation in English, straight from the source, no intermediaries, no propaganda. Well, he's doing propaganda, but just straight into the mind of the Iranian delegation in English.
We had that. They're trying to do everything. And there was a report on Al Jazeera talking about this. And how deep is that? Because it seems that they're using the Iranian case by that somehow they created the protests, the riots in Iran, and then made this propaganda behind it to distract people from the reality of what is happening in Gaza, in southern part of Lebanon.
Well, you know, Nima, years ago, I wrote a number of articles actually about this this type of narrative. There was a time when a lot of nonsense about Iran was being promoted. For example, that during the war between Iran and Saddam Hussein, when he invaded, that, for example, they would send kids to the war fronts and they would, run over minefields to clear minefields. Just fabricated nonsense. And they'd say that they'd give them keys to heaven. And no, I've never seen such a thing, and no one else that has seen such a thing in the Iranian war fronts. But it plays on those Orientalist tropes. And I actually wrote an article about these because you see them in these memoirs written by these Iranians and some of these Iranians in the diaspora, but they're all propaganda and fake. And I actually wrote an academic article responding to this, and I had very difficulty publishing it because they said, "Well, prove that there are no keys to heaven." I said, you can't prove a negative. But I was a combatant in that war. And I had many friends who were combatants in that war. And then I told in one case, I told the editor of a very, very important academic journal. I said, if I were to write an article to say that in Iraq, because it was back in the day when the United States was occupying Iraq, in Iraq, the American soldiers have keys to heaven. Would you accept my article? And she, in response, said, no. Why? Because that would be an outrageous claim. I said, well, how come when they make these outrageous claims about Iran and I say that they're not true, you say that I have to prove it? So if that accusation is made about American soldiers, it's rejected out of hand. But if it's Iranian soldiers, it is believed until it's somehow disproven, and there's no way to disprove it. Because it's something like that is almost impossible to disprove. But in any case, or for example, another one of those fake accusations was that they would say, and this is, I think, even more significant, they would say that Iranian female prisoners who were like members of terrorist organizations, they would rape them and then execute them. And that's not even the worst part of it. The worst part of it is that they would say that they would rape them for religious reasons. That if a woman is like, she hasn't had a sexual relationship and she dies, she goes to heaven. So they rape her so that she won't go to heaven. And where does this nonsense come from? Like, what are your sources? Which religious textbooks say this? There are none. It's all fake. It's all a lie. But it's widespread. I mean, nowadays, I don't know, but in the 1990s and at the beginning of this century, like reading Lolita in Tehran by Azar Nafisi, all these other memoirs, and including history books on our region, these sort of thing, kids being sent on minefields, keys to heaven, raping women, prisoners before execution. All of this was very widespread stuff. So now, but the difference today is that they've been carrying out all these atrocities in front of the eyes of the world for 2.5 years. And the West has been trying to justify it or hide it or ignore it. And so people see through it. So now when they try, and they know that Iran is opposed to the genocide in Gaza and the genocidal attacks in Lebanon. So now people don't see the propaganda the way they did before, where many people were much more naive back then, and they would accept the nonsense that the Western media would put out, or Western textbooks, or Western publishers would put out, think tanks. Now they say, well, the Iranians are actually the only ones fighting against this genocide, alongside the Axis of Resistance. And so these people who are carrying out the genocide are accusing Iran of mass murder and rape and all that, but they're actually doing it themselves, using dogs. They're men. They don't go to jail. They're celebrated in Israel for raping people to death. And so people don't buy it anymore. They see the genocide, and then they see the fake numbers, and people do more research than before because a lot more people are active, as I was saying earlier. So when I put something out, in the past I would get maybe 100 or 200 likes or a few retweets. Now it spreads, and not just me, so many other people. Now there's so many young people who are so good that I feel like I'm really not important. I don't play much of a role because there's so many good people out there doing really good things, not just Iranians, people from across the world. So people don't believe this propaganda. They recognize that, oh, you're accusing Iran about rape when you're the ones who are doing it, or you're allowing your allies to do it. You're accusing the Iranians of killing like 80,000 people or 40,000 people in like 48 hours, just people on the streets. But for 2.5 years, you've been leveling Gaza and Lebanon too. So people don't buy this nonsense anymore. And I think it's clear that they want to sort of, through these accusations against Iran and the resistance, they want to clean up the Zionist regime's image. But it's impossible. It will never happen. And I think people across the world today the support for Iran is global, and the support for the axis of resistance is global, and the anger and hostility towards Zionism and ethno-supremacism is global too. And by the way, if you saw the interview with Piers Morgan, he refused to answer my question when I asked him, do you consider a regime that is based upon ethno-supremacism to be legitimate or not? He refused 3 times. Why? We know why. Because if he says that, he'll be in trouble. And, that's basically what we've all learned during the last 2.5 years. That when it comes to Israel and Zionism, that's a very clear red line.
Professor Marandi, what are the main obstacles when it comes to the negotiations with the United States right now? And how do you see the Iranian position considering the Strait of Hormuz and the Iranian nuclear program?
This is the question I wanted to hear.
I don't know what will happen today. After all, the Iranian response is written, and I'm sure we'll also have a verbal there'll be discussions going on, a verbal aspect to it. The Iranians and the Pakistanis will be talking to, but I think the main part is written because Iran doesn't want anything.
Israel has just struck Ben Jabil. I repeat, Israel has just bombed Ben Jabil in the south of Lebanon. I repeat. According to Al Arabia, which I take very seriously, they're a very good network out of Saudi Arabia. According to Al Arabia, who has a correspondent on the ground, there was just now a strike in Bint Jabil in South Lebanon within the past 3 minutes. That means Hezbollah is almost certainly going to strike back. This is not stop. I don't understand. Every time we get close, even somewhat close, in a tenuous stage of the negotiations, Israel bombs Lebanon again. It's leaving both sides no room to negotiate because they just keep bombing. I'm just waiting for the alerts because Hezbollah won't let a ceasefire violation go unanswered. This is so frustrating. It's like this perpetual state of suspended animation. It's very strange. It's the strangest conflict I've ever seen, especially this ceasefire, this peace fire, whatever you want to call it. It's the strangest thing. The energy in the air right now is so overwhelmingly anxious. It's frustrating even me.
To be misinterpreted or misunderstood. So we'll have to see. But the Iranians have always been willing to be flexible, to show goodwill, but not to give up their sovereignty. And I think that the war itself should have been evidence enough for the United States to show that Iran is not going to submit and to give up its sovereign rights. It's willing to be flexible, but it already was flexible, and that's what Trump, the JCPOA, which actually was not a very good deal for Iran, because the Americans were not abiding by it under Obama. It was flawed in the way in which it was designed, and the Iranians made mistakes in that deal. So, but in any case, Iran carried out, the Iranians signed on to the JCPOA back then because they were willing to be flexible. But even back then, no one was willing to sacrifice Iran's sovereignty. Today, after all, 2 wars in less than a year, and the failure of the Israeli regime and the United States, and the U.S. proxies in the region, there's no reason at all to believe that Iran is going to give up its sovereignty. So Iran, if the U.S. is really serious about concerns about Iran's nuclear program, that can be solved. We already had an agreement before, but it remains to be seen what the United States wants to do. I think, from what I'm hearing from others, that Trump wants an off-ramp. But the Israelis and the Zionist lobby in the United States won't let him have it. Let me give you an example of where he could have had his off-ramp. When Iran refused to allow those extra ships to go through the Strait of Hormuz because of Netanyahu's slaughter across Lebanon, after a few days, Trump imposed that blockade on Iranian ports. But Iran continued to refrain from allowing those ships to go until Netanyahu accepted the ceasefire, right? And then Iran said, okay, those extra ships, in accordance with our agreement with the Americans, our ceasefire agreement, they can go. But Trump, he could have had his off-ramp there. He could have said, okay, now that the Iranians are opening the Strait of Hormuz with these extra ships, I will lift the siege. That would have been an excellent, and you know, Trump, he knew this was a victory, and I, you know, even though it would not.
I knew it. I called it. Listen, I can only analyze things as they happen until I hear it from someone in the delegation. I knew it. They opened the door to ending this by, all they wanted was to just say the strait's open. Mr. President was just supposed to say, okay, that's great, that's a win. And then that was going to lead to the war ending, and it was going to corner Bibi. All Mr. President Trump, by blockading the blockade, screwed the pooch. And you just heard it from the horse's mouth. There was a lot of metaphors in there.
Victory, but he would have framed it that. He could have framed it that way. He didn't.
I hate Nix. I need to be direct with you. Iran mines uranium domestically. Even if you take their enriched uranium, they can just mine more. That's why they don't care about giving it up. You can't take uranium is in the earth. You can just mine more of it. So they could. What do you want to do? Go scoop up all the earth? You can't take their uranium out of Iran. It's below the earth, not the stuff that's already enriched. I'm talking about literally uranium. Raw uranium ore is just naturally occurring, especially on the old Combs Road between south of Tehran and north of Combs. It just naturally is there. It's near the salt flats. All right, it's on the left side of the road if you're heading north. I've studied this extensively. My point is that you can't. So we have to just move beyond this idea of taking their uranium. They mine uranium. They have uranium. They're going to continue to have uranium. It's a question of monitoring their enrichment. Uranium ore is just a naturally occurring element in the earth. The problem is when you spin it really fast in a centrifuge and then enrich it beyond like a certain percentage so that you can use it for weapons. That's what we're trying to monitor.
Do that. He escalated. He said,
I agree, Triplet Bob.
And I'm going to keep the siege. And then the Iranians said, well, if that's the case, then we're not going to allow those ships to pass through. So people are saying he wants an off-ramp. But, and the ceasefire, it's, you know, this was an excellent opportunity, but he did not pursue it. So it's impossible for me to say what he wants to do and what he is going to be forced to do. Again, I constantly speak of Joe Kent, a Trump official installed by Trump, head of counterintelligence. He says that.
All right, hold on. Before we go to the Joe Kent situation, let me show you what's going on in Mali. I don't think this was an attack in Mali. I think the government of Mali is falling. All right, so let me give you the latest. I don't report on Mali, all right, but let me just give you the latest update. Go ahead, British reporter Tal, take it away.
Conversation. FLA spokesperson Mohammed El Mouloud Ramadan claims Azawad Liberation Front seized Kidal, Inkle, Governor's Palace, and Gao positions after Malian withdrawal. Linked to MNLA, CSP Tuareg separatists amid NE Mali instability. JNIM, Al-Qaeda affiliate, and FLA, secular Tuareg, launch coordinated nationwide offensive versus Mali junta and Russian Africa Corps, hitting Kidal, Gao, Bamako outskirts and more. Opportunistic cooperation, not formal alliance, FLA non-jihadist. Mali army reports fighting terrorist groups. Classic Sahel power play. Assessment. Leverage the war in ME and Ukraine to support FLA, as Iran, Russia influence decline. Notably, and since 2025, Iran has deepened its relationship with Mali's junta, focusing on defense cooperation, technology transfers, economic expansion. Iran offers military equipment to address gaps left by Western and Russian influences and seeks access to gold and uranium. The outcome, a conflict will take place between FLA and JNIM, Al-Qaeda affiliate, on gold natural reserves involve state and non-state actors including UEA and KSA in Qatar, Turkey.
Okay, so if you want to understand what it looks like on the ground in Mali, the country is falling. It's not an attack in one place, it's a coordinated attack. This is Mali right now. Hi, Max Love. Yes, there's a lot. I mean, in particular in Mali, in Central Africa, there is a lot going on. It's very possible the government's about to fall. Those are just government vehicles that they took over.
Allahu Akbar.
Good morning, Max Love again. It's good to see you. As if that situation is not wild enough, I'll take you now to Beirut, where the roads are being blocked as the government tries to arrest a member of a prominent family, which has caused just a substantial amount of civil unrest. All right, so they're just roadblocks to southern Beirut. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. So anything could happen. These are the roadblocks in southern Beirut. This is a very dangerous situation. So southern Beirut, the Lebanese government is trying to arrest a member of a prominent family. It has caused there to be like a substantial amount of civil discontent in the southern suburbs. It's not the best time for that for a number of reasons. Going now to a report breaking in the last hour from NBC. According to NBC, the U.S. outlet, this is the first public report confirming that an Iranian Air Force plane bombed U.S. military bases during the war, and this was hidden from the public. I'll read the report to you now. Washington. American military bases and other equipment in the Persian Gulf region suffered extensive damage from Iranian strikes that is far worse than publicly acknowledged and is expected to cost billions of dollars to repair, according to 3 U.S. officials, 2 congressional aides, and another person familiar with the damage. The Iranian regime swiftly retaliated after the Trump administration attacked on February 28th, hitting dozens of targets across U.S. military bases in 7 Middle Eastern countries. Those attacks struck warehouses, command headquarters, aircraft hangars, satellite communications infrastructure, runways, high-end radar systems, and dozens of aircraft, according to U.S. officials, and an assessment by the American Enterprise Institute, a conservative think tank in Washington, D.C. In the initial days of the war, an Iranian F-5 fighter jet bombed the U.S. base Camp Buhring in Kuwait. Despite the base having air defenses, a rare breach that marked the first time an enemy fixed-wing aircraft has struck an American military base in years, according to 2 of the U.S. officials. This is like 30 minutes ago from NBC. The 3 U.S. officials familiar with the damage to U.S. bases in the Middle East described it as extensive. The headquarters building for the U.S. Navy in Bahrain, the nerve center for the Navy's operations in the region, sustained serious damage, the official said. They said other parts of the base in Bahrain also suffered significant damage that is likely repairable. Multiple hangars and warehouses at Ali Al Salam Air Base in Kuwait also were struck, according to the American Enterprise Institute's unofficial assessment that was reviewed by NBC News. The assessment also shows a munitions storage facility at a military base in Erbil in northern Iraq was damaged, and a runway at the sprawling Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar was destroyed. U.S. bases had been cleared of U.S. troops and other personnel, so many of the bases were left essentially empty and vulnerable to attack by Iranian missiles and drones. Many of the troops who were temporarily relocated are expected to return to the bases once tensions in the region subside. Wow. Yeah, Iran was ready with a dead man switch strike, and they hit them all. They hit everything they set out to hit. No wonder why we're not going back to war with them. It's not just a matter of restocking. I don't think Mr. President Trump thinks, I truly don't believe he thinks he can win this war. I think he thinks if he attacks, the cost will be worse than the attack. He's cornered. He's weak. This isn't, I don't know what to say. He's going to read that report and lose it. And Bibi's not making it any better. This whole situation is a powder keg.
Iran was no threat. Iran was not pursuing a nuclear weapon, and this war is Israel's war. This is a Zionist war. So when he says that, then I don't think within 60 days the world has changed that much for it to be anything different now. Although I believe that what Iran is trying to do is that through economic pressure, it is trying to force the United States.
I'm going to break in. Israel has just struck again. There are waves of airstrikes occurring in the day in southern Lebanon. Hezbollah is not going to stand for this. Has to stop. I don't know what to say. I can only report so many things before this just becomes a powder keg. It's going to kick off if this doesn't stop. All right, I'm telling you right now, Israel has just bombed Safad al-Batik. Okay, multiple civilians have just been killed. Again, they won't stop. This was like 10 minutes ago. They just, no matter how close we get, they just do it again and again. There are civilians in those towns in the south, and they are bombing them. This is Safad al-Batik in southern Lebanon, just 7 to 10 minutes ago, maybe 15 at the most. Israel is wave bombing southern Lebanon, not even tempting. What they know, if Hezbollah doesn't respond, then Hezbollah is weak. They are baiting Hezbollah to respond so that Iran will respond. It's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous that Benjamin Netanyahu is doing this, but there's no off-ramp. There's no off-ramp. President Trump is cornered. He's not going to give Iran what they want, but he can't beat them in a war. And the only way this ends is with Benjamin Netanyahu out of power, and he's still in power. And he's still bombing. This was 15 minutes ago. Just wait. I'm just waiting now for what the response is going to be from Hezbollah. If Iran themselves don't respond, someone has to just break this. This state of war, of quasi-war, is worse than the war. At least with the war, we knew what was going on. Now it just feels like hell could break out at any moment all the time, and it's way worse.
To prioritize its interests over Israeli regime interests. Now, whether it will succeed or not, time will tell. But what Iran wants to do is put so much pressure on the United States that at some point...
Mr. President is holding a conference at his Mar-a-Lago house as the war rages about cryptocurrency. No press will be allowed in. He's bunkered down, so to speak.
The Americans tell the Israelis, we just can't do this anymore. We have to think about our own economy. It's in bad trouble. Our own military has suffered as a result of this war, and so we have to prioritize our own interests over Israeli regime, the interests of the Israeli regime. This is what the Iranians are trying to push for. I don't think we're there, but I think that is the ultimate objective.
Yeah. Just mentioning that Joe Kent was the head of counterterrorism, Professor Mahdi. And
counterterrorism. That's right.
And the case of Strait of Hormuz, Professor Mahdi, we've learned that the Iranian parliament is deciding about the future of the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran has already received some tolls from the strait. And how is that going? Is that happening as we talk?
All right, so before we get that answer, let me show you another picture from the Israeli bombing raid on southern Lebanon just 10 minutes ago. This is Bati village in Safed. This is southern Lebanon, 10 minutes ago. Multiple civilians reported injured. This is in the town of Safed in southern Lebanon, just about 10 minutes ago. That is an airstrike on a civilian position. That's the view from afar. That's the view from up close. Okay, 10 to 15 minutes ago. That's the strike on the ground, and that's the strike from afar. It caused serious damage. There were multiple reported civilian casualties. It was in the south of Lebanon in the village of Safed.
Well, now the strait is closed, and thanks to Trump. And some Iranian ships are apparently getting through and leaving and coming in, but it's other than that, none other ships are not passing through, as far as I know. But until Trump's siege, yes, Iran was receiving money from ships that were passing through, and that money has gone to the government.
And I think the basics right now for the Iranian negotiators would be the Iranian nuclear program.
We're going to break in now with the latest scenes from southern Lebanon, where the bombing raid Israeli bombing raid in the past 15 minutes has injured multiple civilians. The death toll is unclear. Word of casualties is spreading. This is the video on the ground in Safed. There has been a serious bombing raid. This is Safed in southern Lebanon. Just about 7 minutes ago. Meanwhile, CNN's Caitlin Collins was at the Grindr party last night in Washington, D.C. Great job, press corps. You're really doing well. You know, forget about the bombs. Just go to the Grindr party. That's the motto of our American press corps. That's the latest from southern Lebanon. I'll take you back to the interview with Professor Marandi now. Then we'll catch the noon update on Al Jazeera in about 25 minutes.
Program and how they can, because the case of the Strait of Hormuz is non-negotiable. Is that the case?
It is non-negotiable, but I don't think that the Americans are going to let go that easily, because as far as I know, that was also a key issue for the Americans. On the one hand, they wanted to be a part they wanted to be a part of this mechanism of control, but then elsewhere, when Iran said no, then
in the past 12 minutes, there is also, along with the bombing raid in the town of Safed, been artillery shelling by Israel in the town of Hula. I have the primary source for you now. Israel is not only bombing Safed in South Lebanon, they have launched artillery shells at the town of Hula. In the middle of the day, Israel is launching artillery shells, violating the ceasefire wantonly. Hezbollah's response inevitably will come in while we're watching this video, I'm sure.
They said, well, no one should be allowed to have authority over the Strait of Hormuz. But the Iranians told the Americans, I mean, I'm using my own words, that this is not the Gulf of Mexico. This is the Persian Gulf. So you have no right to have...
I'm seeing reports of an attack on worshippers and on Father Rabbi of St. Joseph's Parish in Ras al-Ruvaisiat, according to Al-Zayatir. There was an attack, I don't know if it was a bombing raid or an artillery shell, that has hit worshippers and Father Rebbe of St. Joseph Parish in Ras al-Ruvaisiat.
Control over the strait. But it is interesting. On the one hand, the Americans were saying, okay, well, let's be partners. But elsewhere, when Iran said no, they said, well, no one should be able to control the strait. But the Iranians are not going to relinquish control of the strait. And it's not simply about money, Nima, as you know. A big part of it is security. The Iranians do not want to allow the Americans to rebuild their military bases in the Persian Gulf. And they don't want these Persian Gulf regimes to be a platform for further aggression against Iran. So a large part of this is about security, but a large part of this is also about reparations, because ultimately these countries in the Persian Gulf are answerable for the slaughter of these kids, for the slaughtering of families, for the destruction of so much infrastructure. True, the Americans and the Israeli regime fired the missiles, but if these governments did not give consent, the Americans could not have waged this war. And if without their consent, the Americans cannot wage war again. They cannot continue the war. Without Saudi air bases, without the airspace of these countries, without the financial support of these countries, without their bases, without being allowed to use civilian areas in the Persian Gulf region, a war cannot be carried out by the Americans. Whether it's a land assault or whether it's a strike deep inside Iran, like near Esfahan, where they tried to come in and remove, steal Iran's uranium, or whether it's missile and air and missile strikes. Without these countries, the Americans could not have waged this war. So they're complicit.
We had Zelensky going to Saudi Arabia. What is the Ukrainian government trying to do? And is that related to some sort of military cooperation? Because Zelensky is not in a good position right now, and we know what's going on in Ukraine. But what the desperation in these Arab GCC countries in the Persian Gulf is somehow unbelievable. What do they want from Zelensky?
I think Zelensky wants to make money. He wants to say that I can provide you with extraordinary drone capabilities. But he's in enough trouble as it is. And he is desperate to use his capabilities to fight the Russian armed forces. But I'm sure that there will be some form of cooperation, but it's going to be too little and too late. Iran's drone capabilities are extraordinarily massive, and the targets.
In Iraq now, the selection of a new prime minister has been delayed until tomorrow, Sunday. This just a few minutes ago from Iraqi media. The selection of the new Iraqi prime minister has been delayed until Sunday.
In the Persian Gulf region are so many and so easy to strike that there isn't much that they can do to prevent Iran from retaliation. And have no doubt, if the Americans or the Israeli regime starts targeting Iranian critical infrastructure, Iran will hit Israeli critical infrastructure. The regime's critical infrastructure will be hit hard. But all these Arab family dictatorships in the Persian Gulf, their critical infrastructure will be destroyed too. And Iran is not going to hold back. It's not going to pull punches. And we're now at the end of April, and people can go and check the weather.
Okay, I have the Iranian terms. Mr. President must lift the blockade, or Iran will not sit down at the negotiating table with anyone. The Iranian term has been relayed through Al-Haddad in Saudi Arabia. The Iranian terms are thus: to even sit down, the American blockade must be lifted, which is the same term they had before. So long as the blockade remains in place, no talks.
Their forecast: within 3 weeks, if not less, the weather in the Persian Gulf is going to get much warmer and much more humid, and then it will go up. And for 5-6 months, it will be intolerable. American troops and others will have great difficulty in this region in the coming months. But also, if the electricity goes out in these countries, people will have to leave. The Emirates will be emptied. The whole regime will collapse. So the smart thing to do would be for these family dictatorships to tell the Americans, you're not allowed to use our territory. But they don't have that sort of agency.
Here is what the Pakistani sources are just moments ago put out, that prospects for the resumption of the second round of US-Iran talks are rapidly fading, as Tehran is still not ready to meet the US delegation. And Reuters reported that Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi presented a list of demands to Pakistani mediator. I think Iran is somehow is communicating that there has to be some sort of preconditions before the meeting happening. What are those preconditions? What are those basic or crucial points on the part of Iranians?
Well, the U.S. violation of the ceasefire. The United States has imposed a siege on Iranian ports. These are acts of war. So how the ceasefire was very clear, and the terms of the ceasefire were clear. And also the United States has attacked.
That's a good question, Tripoli Bob. I don't know. His name is Nima Rastamal al-Shorshid.
Iranian ships. It has hijacked Iranian ships. These are all acts of war and violations. So I would imagine that Iran would demand an end to the siege and the return of all of the Iranian ships that have been hijacked, if not other things as well. But these, I would imagine, would be at the top of the list. Because remember, Nima, how can Iran negotiate with the United States when the United States is not abiding by its current commitments? What is there to talk about? If I sell you a car and you pay for the car, but I don't hand it over to you and I withhold the car, and then I come and say, I don't know, now I have a washing machine to sell to you. And you say, well, first of all, hand over the car. Why in the world would you why would you purchase something else from someone when he's withholding the goods that he had already sold to you? The Americans have an agreement with Iran. It's a ceasefire agreement. Iran has certain obligations. Americans have certain obligations. The Americans think that the Iranian side must carry out its obligations, but they don't have to. That's how they behave. That's what the empire is like. That's what this exceptionalism is all about. That was the problem with the JCPOA, because Obama had obligations and Iran had obligations. The Iranians made the mistake of carrying out their obligations, and Obama failed to do so in most cases. So the JCPOA was, for Iran, a failure. This time around, the Iranians are not going to negotiate that way. They're saying, okay, we will only agree when you carry out your obligations too. If you don't do them, if you don't carry them out, then we won't either. So when the Israeli regime said, we're not a part of the ceasefire, Iran said, you are. The Pakistani Prime Minister also acknowledged that. So we're not going to carry out our obligations either until you abide by your own obligations. When Trump later said, well, I'm preserving the siege, even though you're abiding by your commitments, then the Iranians said, no, that's a violation of the ceasefire, so we're not going to carry out our commitments. So my guess, and again, I'm not privy to any Iranian demands or what is in the letter that Dr. Ghalibaf gave to.
Breaking, per Al Arabia, per President Trump, Witkoff and Kushner's trip to Pakistan to meet the Iranians has been canceled. Oh, goodness. All right, I may have to take a break for towel lunch. I think it's about to kick off. Oh, goodness. Per President Trump, Witkoff and Kushner's trip to Pakistan to meet the Iranians has been canceled. I repeat, per Al Arabia, which is out of Saudi Arabia, they're a good source. Just minutes ago, they reported, 60 seconds ago to be exact, so I get to defer to them because they reported it, that President Trump has said Witkoff and Kushner's trip to Pakistan to meet the Iranians has been canceled. I repeat, citing Al Arabia from Saudi Arabia, translating to the English. Quoting President Trump, Witkoff and Kushner's trip to Pakistan to meet the Iranians has been canceled. I repeat. I know we are all shocked. It is the most shocking news of the day. I am so shocked. I am shocked. Yes, I've never been so shocked. I am so shocked I may as well be John Cleese playing Edward R. Murrow on the BBC. I am shocked, I tell you. This is absolutely shocking. There's no other word for it. Clearly shocking is the only word. No one saw this one coming. It came out of left field slower than Manny Ramirez exiting the Green Monster while trying to pretend he knew how to do something other than hit a baseball really far. I'm a towel. Yes, a shock towel.
Pakistani senior officials, but I would imagine that it would be that in order for us to move to a second phase of negotiations, first, what has already been agreed upon has to be implemented in full by both sides.
I think, Professor Marandi, many people believe that Iran is not going to abandon Lebanon. Lebanon is part of the deal. Lebanon will be and always is is among the basics for Iranian negotiators. And we know what is happening right now in Lebanon. They call it a ceasefire, which is not a ceasefire. It's somehow a ceasefire between Israeli government and Lebanese government, but they're attacking people in the southern part of Lebanon, and they're attacking, somehow demolishing, destroying everything in southern part of Lebanon. And Hezbollah is capable of, we've just lost Professor Marandi. He's going to be back in.
Oh my goodness, folks, let me just tell you. So, Mr. President, I don't know if he spoke on Fox News or what the hell has just happened. It looks like the Iranians are heading to Oman. I'm not sure this is the best time for them to go to Oman. Let me take you now to the south. So here's the reporting coming in. President Trump, via Fox News, this is literally 1 minute ago to 4 minutes ago, he has personally canceled the trip by Witkoff and Kushner to Pakistan. All right. Now, taking you now to southern Lebanon, where the most recent round of airstrikes in Safed have absolutely decimated a civilian area. I'll take you now to the latest on the ground in Safed, southern Lebanon. Just minutes ago. Oh, God. Oh, that looks like some of the worst scenes we saw during the height of the conflict. Arancini has left Pakistan. He's now leaving Tehran to go somewhere else. He left Pakistan about an hour ago. This is South Lebanon right now. This is the village. This is Safed. It's very serious damage. This is the village of Safed just minutes ago in South Lebanon. Just scenes of destruction, mass destruction with multiple civilian casualties reported. Is President Trump speaking on Fox News right now? What is going on right now? Hold on 1 second. Let me see if President Trump is speaking on Fox News. Sometimes President Trump just starts speaking. He calls into the TV, and like the whole national media has to just listen because he just starts talking to the TV. He just calls into the TV and starts giving press statements through the TV. I'm going to see if he's talking. Maybe they just have statements. Sometimes he literally just started talking. No, come on now. This is very frustrating. I would like to, they don't make it easy either. And he only calls in, like, on the, like, one station. They don't make it easy at all. I'll see if he's actually live. There's no way he's talking live. Did he really? No, it's a commercial break. I was going to say, there's no way he just called in and started talking. I would not believe that. I'll see where he actually made these statements. Mr. President is just saying these things to Fox News, but I don't see any clips of him saying it. He's scheduled to start a private conference in, like, I don't know, all of like 10 minutes or so. But let me just show you the Al Arabia report on what I just reported so you can see it's not just me saying this. It is actually like major, this is probably one of the bigger stations in Saudi Arabia. Here's their report in Arabic on what I just told you. That Trump has canceled Kushner and Witkoff's trip. So he's saying that Kushner has that he's canceled the trip, and at the same time, look at these. There are bombing raids occurring over southern Lebanon. All right, so look at this right now. This is the latest footage from on the ground in southern Lebanon, where Israeli fighter jets are flying and dropping bombs right now. Latest from southern Lebanon. Looking for Trump's comments to Fox News. And Trump says the Iranians can reach out whenever they want. I'm trying to see the actual footage of it. Hold, please. I'm trying to find you the footage of President Trump saying this. I don't know if he just like related to Fox.
Aisha Hasni, that he has canceled his...
Alright, hold on. I got the clip. I'm a towel and I got the clip. Hashtag towel got the clip. Towel always gets his clip. If somebody says something on some kind of news, I'll find it immediately. Here we go. What do you got for me, Fox? Give me the clip.
Just told our own Aisha Hasni...
Hold on.
President Trump just told our own Aisha Hasni that he has canceled his envoy's trip to Pakistan to hold talks with Iran. Aisha Hasni sending us this direct quote from the president. I've told my people a little while ago they were getting ready to leave, and I said, nope, you're not going to make an 18-hour flight to go there. We have all the cards. They can call us anytime they want, but you're not going to be making any more 18-hour flights to sit around and talk about nothing. Now, this is significant. It came after the trip earlier in the week where we thought the Vice President J.D. Vance would be going to hold talks was scuttled. So that is breaking news from our own Aisha Hasni. President Trump just told our own Aisha Hasni that he has canceled his envoy's trip to Pakistan to hold talks with Iran. Aisha Hasni sending us this direct quote from the president. I've told my people a little while ago they were getting ready to leave, and I said, nope, you're not going to make an 18-hour flight to go there. We have all the cards. They can call us anytime they want, but you're not going to be making any more 18-hour flights to sit around and talk about nothing. Now, this is significant. It came after the trip earlier in the week where we...
All right, folks. I'm not sure what I should do. Should I pause for lunch, spend some time with Towel Girlfriend? Should I sit here and wait for the inevitable? It really does feel like we're sitting here waiting for the inevitable. I feel like I have a duty. I want to leave Towel Girlfriend alone. Hi, Towel Girlfriend. How you doing? Are you doing well? You're wonderful. I hope you had a good day. I'll call you soon. I should probably monitor this for at least a few minutes. I do need to eat, though. And I don't like to eat while I'm streaming. I gotta think about this. I have to think about this. This just happened 3 minutes ago. Because once you cancel talks, that's it. That's it. It's over. There is nothing to talk about, so what are you doing? If you're not talking and you're not at war, then you lost. And you gave up. So what does this even mean? So Iran set the terms of you must end the naval blockade. Mr. President got the message from Pakistan and backed and said no. I don't know what to make of this, folks. Yeah. Let me call Towel Girlfriend. We'll start up again. I really can't, though. I just have this bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. I should eat lunch, but I just have this feeling. This feeling that something is going to happen. It's just such an unsettling feeling. Maybe I need a song. Oh, yeah, Towel Girlfriend is wonderful. She helps stabilize Towel. Alright, let's listen to a song. Then I'll break for lunch. Then we'll start another stream. Keep the alerts on. Yeah, I guess I could replay the interview. That's what I'll do. I'll just replay the interview we watched with the alerts on. We can have a song before I go to lunch. It's going to be a loud song. I hope you're ready to dance. What song do we need? This one.
If you're alone and you need a friend, someone to make you forget your pride.
Yeah, this is what you
Just come
need.
along, baby, take my hand.
You need a dance
I'll be
party.
alive tonight.
Just let the energy out. Don't try to think too much. Just dance. Yes, I did do a live yesterday morning. Now we're dancing. Let's go. You need a trauma break after 2 hours anyway. This is a little too intense. Let's go. Yep, you tuned in at the right time. This is a news channel where we have dance parties. Yep. Yep, that's it. No choice. You tune in, you want to learn about the news, you have to dance for 2 minutes. That's the price you pay. Let's go. If you can't dance it out, you're probably too stressed for your own good. Too late. You're dancing to 1990s techno with a little hardstyle remix. Oh, look what I did to you. Yes, I did this on purpose because I want to go to lunch. Please, just don't, Hezbollah, don't you dare. Don't interrupt my dance party. They're gonna do it. They like to troll me. Like, oh, Grant's relaxing. Nope, we gotta troll him. Yep, go get your lunch, friends. I'll be back. We need to dance it out. I force you to dance it out. We end all the lives this way now. I agree, Mohammed. I'm dancing for peace. We're gonna call this the dance party for peace. Yes, everyone loves a dance party to end the stream. We can have some Iranian songs too, don't worry, I got you. That was a good one. How about an Iranian song? This is how I like to end my lives. We'll be back in like an hour after lunch. I don't want to leave the alert. Maybe I'll replay the interview, but I got to do the ending anyway. So you can stay with the alerts on and watch the interview, but I also have to end the live because you can only go 12 hours at a time. We'll see how I feel. I might just leave it running so you can watch the interview and the alerts. Yeah, this is our end of stream dance party. I'm probably just gonna start a new one. At least we can dance it out though, right? We pray for peace while dancing. Come on. We gotta convince the Iranians. We just gotta spread peace through dance. I really don't have a lot of optimism right now, though. I'm just dancing out my stress. We have dance parties at the end of the lives now. It's great. I know the words. I don't even speak Farsi and I know the words. Iran does have really good music. Way better than the West. It's very refined. Hello, Lee Agent. You came right at the end of stream 1. Stream 2 will start after lunch.
بابای جوون من پیر شد آمدی دیر شد آمدی خبر اومدنت ببین فراگیر شد آمدی دیر شد آمدی ببین صدات میزنن از کجای مهدی چشم راه بیا منم میخوام برات فداشم میخوام سید حسن تو باشم گوش به فرمانم فرمانده تپش تپش ضربانم فرمانده سرباز سید علی آمادن راستی نیومدی نگرانم فرمانده ای فرمانده آمادم آمادم آماده ای فرمانده آمادم آمادم آماده ای فرمانده آمادم آمادم آماده
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere.
Why not? Why not play Barbie Girl? Life is a Kafka novel. I'm just gonna yell. This is outrageous. They're bombing Gaza. They're bombing Lebanon. Nobody cares. Nothing matters. It's outrageous. We're living in a Kafka novel. I demand satisfaction. You get Barbie Girl. That's what you get. The Dutch version. I don't have the Dutch version of Barbie Girl. You want me to play the Dutch version? I don't even know if that's on the catalog. The people turning into this are going to be very confused, Triple A Bob. Alright. Let's see, is this the Dutch version? No. Is this the Dutch version? No. Is this? I mean, this is pretty cool, but it's not the Dutch version. I don't know what to tell you. This is really hard. I never thought I'd have to look for the Dutch version of Barbie Girl. This wasn't on my research list. I was not trained for this. Hi, God Manners. Triple Bob wants me to find the Dutch version of I'm a Barbie Girl. That's a very specific request. I don't even know how to spell that in Dutch. Alright, I got it. Okay. That's a pretty nice beat, but that's not what Triple Bob wants. He wants the Dutch version of I'm a Barbie Girl. I'm not really sure how. I found it! I'm a genius. I'm a genius.
Je zegt je deed, je doet maar wat, maar het kan me echt niet schelen.
This is not I'm
nu echt met jou gehad, laat me nu met rust. Want alles wat je zegt, oh het gaat me zo vervelen. Mijn liefde voor jou was al lang geblust. Neem jij maar een ander in de maling. Ik jouw spelletjes wel door.
Oh, my Francisco! The name was Gay Bailar. Is this what you wanted?
Dankbaar ben jij, eerlijkheid en trouw, dat hoort bij mij, maar niet bij jou.
I have no idea what this is about.
Neem jij maar een ander in de maling. Ik heb jouw spelletjes wel door, je bent zo glad als een
Bob, what have you done?
Ik mijn best dan voor.
Dutch people are wonderful.
Dankbaar ben jij,
Oh, Thank you, Serene Sassfire. What a wonderful marshmallow. God bless the Dutch people.
Je kijkt, je lacht, je doet zo raar. Je speelt.
What is this?
Ja, met een groot gevaar, want alles is maar schijn. Je doet zo lief en aardig, je denkt dat je alles weet. Maar je valt nooit door de mand.
Triply Mom wanted this. Triply Mom wanted this.
Neem jij maar een ander in de maling. Ik heb jouw spelletjes wel door. Je bent zo als een paling. Waar heb ik mijn best dan nog voor? Waar ben jij? Eerlijkheid en trouw.
The Dutch people are probably like, what is going on? How did he find this? This is what the world needs. Okay, did you mean this, Triply Bob? Triply Bob! Make it let it be known Triply Bob asked for this!
Ik leg dit briefje nu onder jouw kussen. Die kan je lezen als ik er niet ben.
This is great! Oh, I'm having such a good time! Oh, let's all go to a beer hall! Let's do a polka! I think we've sufficiently confused the Iranians. Oh, this is great! Oh, good job, Triply Bob!
Doe dat voortaan bij die ander, ik ben jouw stoelzat. Ja, ik heb het nu echt helemaal met jou gehad. In de maling, maar mij nu niet meer. Al jouw mooi lieve woordjes, geloof ik niet meer. Doe dat voortaan bij die ander, ik ben jouw stoelzat. Ja, ik heb het nu echt helemaal met jou gehad.
Oh, this is great. Hi, Laura. Yes, it's a Kafka novel. We're dancing the polka.
Ik heb je nu ook niets meer te vertellen.
Oh, that's it. I've lost it. It's all off the rails. This is a great. This is the Mexican hat dance in the style of a polka. Oh, this is the cross-cultural love we all need. Oh, I'm having a great day. Connor, you have to put the title. Alright, Connor, you have to put the title. And then I can search for it in the database. I can't just play YouTube videos. It's just like special beta. Alright, I'm crying tears of laughter. You don't understand. Triply Bob made me cry tears of laughter. I didn't think that much serotonin and dopamine still existed in my brain. Oh, that was great. That was great. No, yes, that's what the world needed. Yes, yes. You know, I think you all need some Hello Goodbye. Yes, you know what Hezbollah needs to listen to? We need more Hello Goodbye in the Hezbollah propaganda. That's what we need. Yes, you all need more Hello Goodbye in your life.
I like where we are.
Yeah, you know you love it. Don't lie. You can pretend you don't love it, but I know you love Hello Goodbye. It's a secret guilty pleasure for everyone from Iraq to America to Afghanistan. Hashtag I'm a towel. I have Connor's request coming up next, but first you have to dance to Hello Goodbye. Yep, you're going to pretend it's 2004 and you live in a very white American suburb and there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to think about what Friday would be like. You know what I'm saying? The football game. This is exactly what it felt like. And very bad tasting vodka. And campfires out in the woods. Running from police mostly. Drinking Natty Light. Which wasn't really beer, it was more just water that had alcohol in it, but it still counted. That's exactly what it was like in 2004 in white suburban America. And you had to dance to this because it's what all the girls liked. You don't understand. So then you make associations in your brain with it, you know what I'm saying? That's just how it works. I can tell the story of a place and time in music, and you're gonna love it.
When you sleep next to me, I like the way you sleep.
Yeah, and Hypnotic. I drank a lot of Hypnotic, and it tasted terrible. Well, it actually tasted good, but it burned. I don't know how something can taste so good and burn so bad at the same time. So, in every American suburban town, at least in my area, you have a campfire area where you can go and kind of drink. And inevitably, because you've lit a campfire in like an open area, the police are going to come and tell you not to light a campfire in an open area. It's not safe. The kids do it anyway. They've been doing it since the 1970s. They're going to keep doing it for the next 50 years, probably 100 years. And because we don't have a very, what the parents do here is instead of teaching their kids how to drink, they tell them not to drink, which makes them want to drink. And they can't really drink anywhere. You don't drink on the road, so they go into a field. That's pretty normal, kids hanging out in a field. But they like these, bonfires to stay warm. And inevitably, the police will come and tell the kids to put the fire out so that it doesn't cause a forest fire. Pretty reasonable thing for the police to do. They're not really trying to be jerks. They're just trying to save the forest. Smokey the Bears. Only you can prevent forest fires. Only you, the police, can go and stop drunk teenagers who have been doing the same thing since 1970. You may as well think of the movie Dazed and Confused, relived over and over and over again. Only you can protect drunk local youth from burning down their forest by having forest fires and getting drunk around them. So anyway, the police will eventually show up, and they're mostly concerned with the forest fire. They'd prefer you not, have a fire pit in the middle of the woods, all right? Here, we would go to Habitat. It's still, Habitat is an area up in the woods. And you just kind of go there. It's like an open field. Every single, high school has one. And it's a bunch of rocks. It's a safe, contained fire pit, but it's not exactly the safest thing in the world. There's normally a tree or two near it that the kids sit on. And then inevitably someone brings a 30 and someone brings a handle, which is a 1.75 milliliter. I don't drink anymore. But I'm just telling you what high school's in the United States, at least what it was in my area. And so the police will inevitably come. And all they really want you to do is put the fire out. They would just really prefer you not light forest fires, which, again, very reasonable. But as a 16-year-old or 17 or 18-year-old in high school, you're thinking that they are coming with the SWAT team. They are going to bring the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission. They're going to call they're going to invoke the Robinson-Packman Act of 1937 and charge you with federal, distribution of, alcohol, because you gave a beer to someone. Hello, how are you doing? The dinosaur, it's so good to see you. We're ending the first stream with some regaling about when regaling about tales when I was a young washcloth. So in any event, being the young washcloth that I was, it wasn't just me. When the police would come up, to ask us to put the fire out, we thought that we were being raided by some kind of interagency federal task force and they were going to enforce the Robinson-Packman Act. I think I was probably the only one who thought about that specific act from 1937. But needless to say, most kids just run. You're not really running from the police. You're just running from what you think the police are going to do. Again, they're only request most of the time, I'd say 99.98, unless like somebody is like doing something ridiculous, like hurting somebody else, like all they're really there to do is be like, please put the fire out, like please, it's not a good idea for you to have a bonfire like in the middle of an open field. But all the kids, all the high schoolers with their like one can of like beer think that this is like a federal raid. They gotta like duck and cover, so they almost like create this sort of like reason to go on this like very complicated hunt, like run through the woods, and inevitably like they're all drunk and they're like 18 and they're trying to like escape police who aren't looking for them. So inevitably 4 hours later, it's like 3 a.m. they like poke their head out of some bush. They're completely like, their clothes are ripped. They're just a mess. And it's like the sun's coming up and they like walk home and they like realize like no one was looking for them. No one cared. They weren't being chased. They just spent the night in a bush for no reason. It's hilarious. And it happens way more often than they care to admit. They all like to pretend like it doesn't happen too. Like they have so much pride. They're like, no, I didn't spend the night in a bush. I didn't jump into the bush. They were ripping my khakis and like causing myself to bleed, and then walk home like embarrassed because I hid in a bush all night for no reason. That's exactly what they do. It's great. So this was a request, El Sondito. This is a request from, I forget, I think somebody requested it. Connor. Here you go, El Sondito, the live version. Okay, here you go. This one goes out to Connor. All right, this is about as absurd as I'm going for. This is the end of the stream. This was a request from Connor. I mean, it's definitely as absurd as the world feels right now, so I mean, I can't hate on it. It's good. Oh yeah. I like El Narco Corridos, you know what I'm saying? This is good, but I like something like, this is great, Connor. This is a long version of it. I like something like this for that. Oh no, Shannon, from Dancing So Hard, or you just can't find them?
Young and hungry.
That was great, Connor. That was a great introduction to that kind of music. I saved it to my library. It reminds me a lot of this song, but a Spanish interpolation.
Break out, find our freedom. Hands up, gonna touch the sky.
Yeah, War DJ has definitely like has lasted a little bit. He's hungry. I'm a hungry War DJ. I can't wait, Standing Stones. We'll see you later, Lee Agent. We've started doing these to end the stream because it helps me relax. I'll be back in about an hour and a half.
Can't stop stealing glances. Crack the code, tell me what's inside.
I think we all know what's about to go down tonight, so let's eat some food and get ready for it.
Run. Red dress, black sunglasses. We disappear into the night.
Ah, moonshine, a classic American staple. Speaking of, we all know what's about to go down.
I come from a long, long line of denim jean, cut beside all types of fiends. I rob the DEA and overdose, spend the cash on guns and coke. I am the warmonger, more crazy strong, dropping drones inside Iran. I'm the big bad supercharged sex machine, all American extra lean. If you lose your cool, maybe I'll lose my
I see, Shannon. Thank you, Standing Stones. I'll check it out. Thank you. All right. Okay. Thank you. Mute fixed. All right. Here's what's going on. There has been a shooting at the Swedish hospital in Chicago, Illinois, where multiple officers are down. The president has canceled Steve Witkoff and Kushner's visit to Islamabad. This is the Swedish hospital off West Foster Ave in Chicago. Police officers are down. Thank you. I fixed the mute. Sorry about that. I had the mute button on my microphone pushed to let you listen to the music. This is the latest scene from Safed. All right, there's at least 10 injured in South Lebanon. We're going to pick up this stream in just an hour and a half. I need to eat lunch. I need to call Towel Girlfriend. God bless you all. Be well. Thank you all for tuning in. You can catch up again in about an hour and a half with the next stream. That'll be part 50, I think like 8 or something along those lines. I will see you after lunch. Thank you for tuning in. I should have put a breakfast stream. It was supposed to be an all-day stream, but I want to break it up. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. It's just past 12:27 p.m. Eastern, U.S. bombs falling time here in Boston. It's 6:27 p.m. in South Africa, 7:27 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and 8:57 p.m. 8:57 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. The drums of war are beating louder by the moment. I will rejoin you on this channel, youtube.com/@GrantSmithEllis, in just an hour or so. You'll see the stream go up, and then I'll be back with you. Thanks for watching this morning's segment of Towel News. God bless all of you. Continue to pray for peace and hold out hope that with God's blessing, no more bombs fall. God bless you all.